I do love that intro. Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. Today is Friday, the 5th of January, and I would imagine that the majority of you guys are sluggishly getting back into routine after the festivities, but the Endless Celts have not missed a beat. We're back with another fun Friday episode. We've got myself hosting tonight, which you've probably noticed by now, and we're joined by Stephen and Ross. Gents, how you guys doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm 2 days shy of going back to work now, but I've still got a beer in my hand and I'm holding on for dear life to this holiday and here to talk Celtic.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm buzzing to be back on to get talking Celtic. I've actually had a shocker of a week, by the way. Started back on Tuesday to work. Wednesday, I had to hand my car into the dealership because the clutch is gone. I need 2 new brakes. I need 4 new tyres. It's just been an absolute shambolic week from that front. But you know what? Couple of beers with you guys tonight. We'll chat Celtic, have a bit of crack. I'm looking forward to it.
Mate, that is dreadful luck. My condolences to you, especially after sharing out money for Christmas and stuff like that. I hope you're okay. You're not in the red already. So to the viewers, welcome. Welcome. I hope you're all doing well. We'll bring up the comments. Welcome every one of you. As I said, it's probably not escaped your attention. I'm hosting tonight, so I just want to express my my gratuity for the trust that's been invested in me by the Endless Celts. They're probably wondering how tonight will go. Like, on balance, it's probably not the worst decision made today. I did read the news that the South African legal system have released the convicted murderer Oscar Pistorius. So probably not the worst decision made today. As long as I don't do anything wrong today, then I shouldn't be on a shaky peg such as peg leg Pistorius. So we'll get into we'll start off now. I know that you guys do a Super Six. I don't have the data. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone knows their place. Ross, are you able to help us with that?
Aye, well, I forgot to send Stephen the graphic today, so I'll just read it off my phone. Go old school. I can't remember when the last round was on. I think it was maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. It might not have changed for the last time, but we'll go with it anyway. So Alistair Jack is at the top. He's usually at the top of the quiz nights, and he's doing well on this as well. He's in 245 points. He's closely followed by Kieran Gill. It's not saying his full name here. I can't even. I apologise. I think it's Gillooly or Gillooly.
Gillooly, yeah.
And then we've got Stephen Coulthard, who won it last year. He's climbed that table. Then we've got Anthony Dunn. We've got Mark Robertson in 5th, Joe Finlay in 6th, Kevin Hampsey 7th, Ryan Taylor 8th, James Bowie 9th, William Dobbin just holding on now for dear life to that number 10 spot. And I'm just going to shoehorn us in there. Franny and me are closely following. Well, I'm getting close to that top 10. It's going to happen. But that's it. There's another round on tomorrow. Get your picks in by 3 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be doing it, and hopefully I'll get my 2 points and on the board. Over to you, Gavin.
Excellent. Now, guys, we're going to be talking about a number of juicy topics tonight. Of course, the derby aftermath, and it is the meltdown. There's been some amusing statements. On top of that, we'll be talking about St Mirren. We need to get into that, and a bunch of other things. Of course, you've got the January winter break right now with Celtic, but we'll try and give you some decent content to get through for tonight. Now, before we actually start on the derby aftermath, I do want to kind of veer off course briefly. Now, as part of me joining the Endless Celts, I'm getting to know you guys and getting to know your quirks and your personalities. So I'd actually thought of a wee kind of quick fire questions. Now, this is not, Stephen did actually say, Gavin, going to come up with a quiz tonight. This is not that quiz. We'll do the quiz at the end. I've got 10 questions prepared at the end, and you will have a fair chance of showing up your knowledge in Celtic. But I've prepared a few questions. I'm going to pick on you tonight, Ross, just to find out your Celtic personality. So it's quick fire. I just want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind, and then we'll move on to the next. And it's nothing to be, nervous about. You'll get the gist of it. So without dithering, I'll just start off if that's okay, mate. Aye?
Aye, fire away, mate. Aye.
Sounds ominous, doesn't it? Right, okay. Your first Celtic memory, please.
Going to probably a game with my Uncle Gary. The one that springs to mind is, and it's actually not a nice one. I went to a Celtic game at home to Dundee, and we lost 1-0. I don't recall the year. I don't know if it was my first Celtic game, but it was a really early one. And Jim Duffy scored a penalty, and Dundee beat us 1-0 at Parkhead. It was in the days of Jerry Craney, guys like that playing for us, Tommy Coyne, Mike Galloway. But it's not a nice memory, but it's the first memory that just popped into my head. But my earliest memories is getting taken to the games with my Uncle Gary, so that just automatically is what I go with.
Good, honest answer, and certainly a typical memory of the early 90s for a Celtic fan. Is there any one team that you favoured outside Celtic? And don't be a smart arse, don't say Celtic reserves.
In Scotland?
Anywhere in the world?
Arsenal.
Okay, mate, okay. Childhood hero?
Actually, Thierry Henry.
Okay. Which current Celt receives undue criticism?
Oh, fuck.
It's as long as Marham, but Greg Taylor.
Greg Taylor, okay. Obviously that was a wrong answer. What's your all-time favourite formation?
4-3-3.
4-3-3, okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you agree that the current board run our club well?
7.
7.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. The one that got away, transfer targets.
The one that got away, did you say?
Yeah. Transfer targets.
Ivan Toney.
Yeah. Pretty good. Unsung hero.
Current or all time?
All time.
Phil O'Donnell.
Okay. Most memorable European tie.
Boa Vista at home. Sorry, away, I meant.
This is top quality.
Fair dues. Biggest waste of money.
Raphael Shite.
Ugliest Celtic shirt.
I can't think.
I've probably got a couple back there. I've got a pink one actually.
Aye.
That's fine.
Can't think.
One historic Celtic player to complement our current team.
Oh.
Jota.
What a safe answer, by the way.
Now, I do have more questions. If you want, we can park it right now and get back into it. Or, Stephen, I can ask you a few questions and then we can move on.
Ask me a few, Joe. I like this. Good
I'm
crack.
loving this. That's quality.
Good. I'm glad. Right, Stephen, your biggest football heartbreak?
The Seville game. I think everyone's with Celtics that has to be involved with that. I remember sitting watching it with my brother, who's in the comments tonight, and we were both in disbelief. And he used to smoke back then, and I think he went through about a 20 pack of Silk Cut, and he's still looking more that night. I mean, so it's one of them ones. It's a sad memory, but again, the run to it was fantastic. I was still young back then, but I got really involved with it and watched every game in the build up to that. It was just heartbreaking losing that final.
That's the longest quickfire answer I've ever heard in my life.
I probably stopped smoking on that day actually because of the heartbreak. Now, Stephen, I want an honest question from you in this one. Don't sidestep it. Which one Rangers player did you fear playing against?
Oh shit! I didn't like playing against Pedro Mendes. I thought he was a quality footballer in the midfield. He scored a couple of goals against ourselves. So probably, I mean, Pedro Mendes. He's the first one that came to my mind there.
I think one elbow and it would send him to sleep. Celtic mercenary. Who was here for the money?
Freddie Lundberg.
Best free kick taker.
Nakamura.
Okay. Which Celtic manager would you trust with a budget?
Gordon Strachan.
Yeah, that's the only answer for that. I totally agree. Given the opportunity, should Celtic leave the Scottish League?
1,000,000%.
Okay. An unpopular Celtic opinion.
Oh God, unpopular. Can we come back to that one? 'Cause I don't know.
Too scared. He doesn't want to lose any subs tonight. Best youth product in your lifetime.
Kieran Tierney.
Mm-hmm. Neil Francis Lennon, hero or a villain?
Absolute hero. Legend in my eyes.
In a must-win game, do or die, your life, do you go for Bruni or Kalmack in your team?
Gav.
You've got to play the fixture. Who are they playing? I'm only kidding.
I'll go Kalmack.
Yeah. Okay, which striker was the best finisher? Try not to say Larson.
Mm-hmm. Best finisher. Musa Dembele.
Okay. Your favourite goal against Rangers?
There's quite a few, to be fair. The one that comes into my mind is Nakamura again. Just the strike from about 30 yards out.
The next question here was the best left-footed Celtic player. You can use the same player if you wish.
I'll go Thompson.
Okay. Ronnie Dyla, the right man, wrong time, or never good enough for Celtic?
Right man, wrong time.
Okay. I wonder which era would have suited Ronnie Dyla. That's what I was thinking at the end of that question. And final question. You did part one. If Liam Scales is a starter next season, would you be pissed off?
Yes.
Okay. Brilliant. That was good. I enjoyed that. We did have one part question about an unpopular Celtic opinion. I would be understanding if you wanted to plead the fifth.
It's not. I can't think of anything. Can you think of anything, Ross? I genuinely can't think of anything.
Aye.
Go for it.
The Green Brigade are dicks. I'm joking, they're no dicks.
Oh God. That was quality, Gavin. That was quality, man.
Thank you. I'll tell you my unpopular Celtic opinion. When we lost the 10 in a row, it was our own doing, our mismanagement from top to bottom, our own fault. People, you don't need to give credit to Sevco, but we lost it. It was ours to lose, and people say that the pressure was all on us, it wasn't on them. I hate that attitude. You're entitled to it. I totally disagree with it. We shat the bed that season.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Right, thank you for participating, guys. And yeah, we do have a quiz at the end of the show. So we're going to get into the derby aftermath. Now, the media narrative has been sweet. Twitter has been red hot right now. I think we've probably wasted many hours looking at endless posts and threads about this. So I want to get what your take on it. So it's really amusing because we've beat them twice this season, and the concurrent narrative is that the referees have followed the letter of the law, but they're still pissed off about it. So we've got a penalty that wasn't a penalty, which would never have ever been a penalty, but yet they're still going on about it. Now, they requested audio from the SFA. They've had their little meeting, and now they came out with a statement which appears to be contradictory to the conversation that took place between Rangers and the SFA. And now Rangers have released a statement, the SFA have released a statement, and the SFA are actually saying that they're calling Rangers out, and they're also implying that their media partner, the Heart and Hand podcast, are bringing, kind of almost bringing the game into disrepute in terms of holding up certain officials as potential hate figures. they could well be abused if this narrative were to continue. So, Stephen, going to come to your thoughts on this. What the fuck's going on with Rangers, man? They can't take it.
It's the typical case of a kid throwing their toys out of the pram. Why do you keep laughing, Ross? You keep laughing at me every time.
They kind of laughed because he said that they can't take it. I like that.
That's exactly what the issue is. They can't take it. They want a penalty kick for an incident that wouldn't be a penalty kick. And even if the handball was given, it still wouldn't have been a penalty kick. But they're still harping on like they should have a penalty kick in some shape or form, which is mind-boggling within itself. I think Rangers as a club have performed absolutely disgracefully during this last week. And I think you're 100% right. The likes of Willie Collins, the likes of whoever was involved in the VAR decision and stuff like that, they've got families, they're human beings themselves. It should be up to the Rangers as a club to kind of calm this down and say it's been sorted out internally and privately, but it hasn't. It's been brought out to the media, brought out to the public landscape, statements here, statements there, and it's just shambolic. And you see figures like Chris Boyd again having digs at Celtic, saying we're the biggest conspiracy kings and all that type of thing. And look, this for me goes beyond a conspiracy. This for me goes beyond questioning an official. This is just borderline. I don't know what it is. It is absolutely craziness. Some of the stuff you're reading, and it's every day something new is being pumped out. I've seen something today. A politician over in Scotland has got involved and sent an email to the SFA. I'm requesting whatever guidance or requesting them to release something. Again, I don't know what the ins and outs of it are, but the fact that this incident, which again isn't an incident, has continued for the last 4 or 5 days is quite incredible. And at the end of the day, look, we as a podcast and we as Celtic fans, we call out referees all the time. We say stuff about referees. We look at incidents and be like, why was that not given? But we move on from it. But don't spend hours and hours and hours trolling through people's podcasts or trolling through people's clips and putting them on for everyone to see and questioning the SFA. And look, we're not the biggest fans of the SFA. I do think they run the games shambolically. I'll never kind of waver from that opinion. But just, I mean, because people are talking about the Pope in 1982. Way back then, saying this all started back then, and they're talking about the 90s when Celtic were in financial trouble. Apparently, it started then. And it's I don't know what's going on. The meltdown has been incredible. It's funny. Don't get me wrong. It is funny seeing it and watching it. But you think as a professional football club, which they claim to be, they would try and calm their supporter base down. Because at the end of the day, and I think you nailed it on the head, Gavin, the referees are human beings. And 90% of the time, we do not agree with them in terms of on-field decisions. But very rarely does it leave that. Very rarely does it translate into threats and stuff like that. And it shouldn't be going that far. And I think the fact that they're continuing this narrative and trying to push it as hard as they are is just, it's as a club, they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
Excellent comments. I can't agree anymore. Ross, Stephen does make the point that the SFA are run kind of shambolically, and that's nothing new. We've known that for quite a number of years. Despite their shortcomings, what I do like about Celtic is whenever there have been injustices, we've never brooded on it for too long as a club. Obviously, fans have got long memories. Don't get me wrong about that. But as a club, you like to see certain things handled in a dignified manner. Now, the culture of the club across the river are a different breed right now. Can you see any consequences of them continuing with these accusations? As I said, Celtic, I don't think we would do that. But the head honchos at Ibrox, they've really kind of lost it. I don't know if they're just trying to appease to their fans. I don't know what their end goal is. I don't know when this is going to stop. Do you think this can have any detrimental consequences on Scottish football?
I don't know whether it'll have detrimental consequences on Scottish football. In terms of if Rangers keep running with this, I don't think they'll be consequenced for it. I think they're just allowed to an extent do what they want to do. They say what they want to say, and they're never really pulled up for it. And in terms of you're talking about Celtic there, and they don't obviously run with it for as long as what Rangers have and what their fans have. I'm the first to say that I think there is bias against Celtic at times. Mm-hmm. But you're looking at it and you're going, right, sometimes for a position of strength, and when Celtic are winning or they've won the game, but there's been a wrong against them, I would like Celtic to be a bit more vocal. Not to the extent of what Rangers have done off the back of this decision, but the worst bit about it is, and everybody knows, even Rangers themselves, they're complaining about a decision that in actual fact, whatever which way they got there, was the correct decision. So if as much as I want Celtic to be vocal when they feel or we feel we've been wronged, Rangers haven't been wronged here. And everybody's missing that point. They're ignoring the Turnbull situation where, in actual fact, Celtic, and I would say most people's opinion, were more wrong than Rangers were in the instance that they're talking about. But they're concentrating on that incident and keeping everybody's attention on that. And like you've said, I feel like it's a bit of a deflection tactic to take away from the fact that, in actual fact, Celtic played that game without Carter Vickers. They then lost what Celtic probably perceive as their replacement defender in Stephen Welsh. Whether he's next in line before a Navrocki or that now, that's up for debate. But we then lost him, and we had to bring another defender on, and they still couldn't beat us. It's just deflecting away from it. I just find it. But initially, when that decision was made, right, I said, right, it's probably a penalty. It's not an absolute stonewaller. It is subjective, but when you look at it, as much as Alistair Johnston's trying to he's trying to just usher. I don't know who was the Seema it was. He was trying to sort of usher him and the ball and shield it, and it's a natural movement of what he's trying to do. But he does hit the ball, and his hands out for the ball, right? So you can look at it and go, right, for me, if you want to be sort of fair, you can go, right, Willie Collum has got that decision wrong. He should be given a penalty there. But they're all ignoring, like, albeit at the time, right? The offside then came up about half an hour after the incident, right? But they're now ignoring the fact that initially it wasn't communicated properly. But it's come to light now that had Willie Collum given the penalty, it would have then, as we all know, went to the offside. So it's a completely moot point. Rangers know this. They're still complaining about the fact that it should have been a penalty. Now, we all knew this. I can understand to an extent why Clement was incensed, right, at the end of the game. We all of that, right? But you move on to the Tuesday, and Rangers concede a penalty. Again, it's a debatable one whether it's a penalty or not, but they were on to break a world record, so the penalty was always getting given, because they're not allowing that to happen. But Clement then, in his interview after the game, says, I didn't know what a penalty is. Sort of paraphrasing, but I don't know what a penalty is anymore. That one was more of it. But by this point, we know that they wouldn't have got the penalty anyway, but he's still going with the narrative that we should have got a penalty, and I'm like, it's so frustrating. What's he saying? Shut up.
He said you said it with the accent. Come on.
Said what with the accent? Oh, Clement.
His name?
No, that's his name, Clement. What do you want me to say? Clement. But aye, it's actually getting to the ludicrous stage. It's almost as bad as people try to shoehorn Liam Scales into left back and sign McKenna and put him into centre back. But we'll maybe go into that at a later point. But aye, it's just absolutely ludicrous that they're still running with this when it wasn't a penalty and it was never going to be a penalty. And if Celtic were doing that, I would be wholly embarrassed.
I think as well, you have to look at it in terms of, I mean, we spoke about Connor Goldson a lot, and most of it's been jibes and jokes and make a laugh that he's our second goalkeeper, but there was games last season, and even involving us, where he literally put his hands to his face and to stop the ball hitting him, and it's still considered a handball, but you didn't see Celtic run about making a big song and dance about it. Yeah, we were incensed at the time, but a couple of days go past, you move on, and because you know that's the norm with Scottish football, and I think you're right,
but
Ross.
The club should have been more vocal on that situation
100%.
for me.
I think you're right to say Celtic do need to be more vocal, but I think we're just, again, it's a sad part of reality. We're coming used to the fact that we don't get the majority of decisions that should go our way in Scottish football. And you made a great point. The whole 74 games without a penalty kick, the world record, they were never, ever going to allow that to happen, because then again, that's the whole world looking at that going, how has that happened? There's an evidence, a back catalogue of what should have been penalty kicks against Rangers that's never been given. And the fact that, as you rightly say, maybe VAR didn't come to the right decision at the time on the penalty kick, but even Bobby Madden, right, is coming out on Instagram saying they needed to check the attacking phase of play, and at that point, it would have been chalked off and it would have been play on, so to speak. So the right decision was made, and it just baffles me that they can't see that, and they can't be like, fair enough, the ref got the first call wrong, but at the end of the day, we wouldn't have got a penalty kick from it. It's almost like they want to go back and have this kind of bit of the match replayed so they can take the penalty kick. It's baffling. And the supporter base, look, again, I'm not, again, they support a different club, but the way they're getting on and they're kind of clinging on to this, and I think Gavin's right as well, that the narrative they're trying to push, the narrative they're trying to spin, and you have the likes of Chris Boyd pushing that in Sky Sports and saying the same things. And even on Ref Watch, Dermot Gallagher and all the ex-professional referees were basically saying that the right call was made on the day. And even that isn't good enough. And it's, where does it end? And you made the point, could it be detrimental for Scottish football? In a way it could, because I'll tell you one thing, if they get their wish and Willie Callum is banned from future Rangers games, you know fine well who's running the game. You know fine well, if they can pick referees, if they can pick and choose who referees their matches, that's a bad precedent to set, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Neil Lennon's words, it opens a bag of worms. So it's definitely a dangerous precedent. One thing that I do take heart from it is the fact that it shows weak leadership from the hierarchy at Ibrox. I don't think a strong, assertive club would actually make those allegations publicly. So I do actually take heart from that. We've got a lot of good comments from the viewers tonight who are agreeing with what you guys have said. Pam has said that the Rangers are trying to run this league like the mob, for fuck's sake, trying to use intimidation tactics against honest referees. Pathetic. I totally agree. It's funny. At the same time, it can have worrying consequences. But I just hope that this kind of dies a death, despite the comedy factor that it does produce. So can I ask you one other thing? Were you guys pissed off that the lines weren't drawn for the Turnbull penalty incident?
Well, nothing was ever cleared up from that. That was just left. There was no, as Ross said, that was a penalty kick. In my opinion, Tavernier comes through the back of him. He looks to be onside from the TV angles, and then it's silent, and you don't hear anything. You don't hear what the decision should have been. And in my opinion, that was more of a stonewall penalty than what they're claiming for, in the wrong incident, wrong decision anyway.
Every single... Sorry, on you go.
I'm just saying I would have wanted to see the lines drawn, because there was clear contact. Tavernier wasn't goal side of Turnbull. He did make the motion to knock him over. Turnbull went down. I was actually screaming at Turnbull at the game to get back up, because you could see the referee wasn't going to give it. But in hindsight, you would like to see transparency with that. What was your thoughts, Ross?
I just think that every single morsel of that full instant was handled wrong. From the linesman flagging too early, because you're supposed to let the whole phase of play out. The referee then blowing off the back of the linesman's flag, wrong. You're supposed to let it play out. To then it not going to VAR to see if it was offside because there's a possible penalty. To then not drawing the lines and seeing that it wasn't offside. To then looking at the penalty and seeing that it was two hands in the back. And listen, I'll be honest with you. I look at it, there's two hands in the back. It wasn't a severe push. But if you feel two hands in your back and you're in the penalty area, you're going down. And enough ex-professionals who are pundits look at the instance week in, week out, and they say, if you feel a touch on your back, you're going to go down. It's the same when a player's trying to usher the ball out the park and they get a touch on the back, they just fall down. So it's no different. For me, it's a penalty kick. It's not offside. Every single, as I say, morsel of that full incident was handled wrongly. And nobody's talking about that. I think the game was at 2-1 at that point.
Yep, yeah,
The way Celtic are with penalties, it might still have been 2-1, but there's a good chance it would have been 3-1 and the game's put to bed. But instead, through partly a fault of our own, which we handled the game poorly that last 10-15 minutes, or pretty much when they went down to 10 men. But that instant puts the game to bed, and then it takes any sort of nervousness out of that last 10-15 minutes. But instead we didn't get the penalty, and then Rangers could have snatched a point, and then what would we have been talking about then? Do you know what I mean?
Totally agree, mate. I guess one other thing before we move away from this was the alleged spitting incident by Balogun whenever he gets sent off. Stephen, do you think there was enough video evidence to actually merit an investigation with that?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I know the comments are saying about they want people to speak about the spitting incident, and so do I. But I spoke to Ross about this as well, and actually Ross said something to me that kind of stuck in my mind. Yes, it does look like there's something that leaves the mouth area, but again, and there needs to be more evidence. The video clip that I seen was slowed down. If there's a motion to even do that, or if it was spittle, it needs to be investigated. You can't let things like that go. We've seen too many times, like Ryan Kent assaulting Scott Brown, the Celtic physio being attacked, the Buckfast broken bottle in Joe Hart's box, numerous incidents that go just go unpunished. And I think we touched briefly on this on Monday's podcast as well. It's one of these issues, like, if it's that, it needs dealt with to the highest authority, and there needs to be something seriously done about that, because we've seen with the likes of El Hadj Diouf and things like that before. It's not a nice thing. It's probably one of the most disgusting things you could do to a fellow human being. And also around that area, there's kids and families and that. And look, players when they're walking off, especially in an environment as such as the Glasgow Derby, you're going to get grief. But you're not. You have to be a professional. You have to be able to cope in that type of hostile environment. And if he spat, and he's sorted out big time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I guess another thing about strong leadership from a club, that the video evidence is inconclusive, and it's kind of good that Celtic haven't reacted on that and pushed for an investigation, whereas Rangers have pushed for something which clearly that they're wrong about. So I guess I'll again take heart from that, but we'll draw a line under the sand for that, and we'll move on to the St Mirren game. So Celtic played St Mirren on Tuesday. Has been notorious for a difficult away ground for Celtic. We won 3-0, which was amazing. From a supporter's perspective, we got 2 quick-fire goals very, very early on. So Maida got a goal within, I think it was the first minute. Let me just have a look. Yeah, first minute, Dyson Maida. First minute, and then 6 minutes, Matt O'Reilly. Great way to kind of settle the nerves, and we kind of just played our way into it. I know that with Stephen Robinson, who loves playing against us with the opportunity. He relishes the opportunity of beating us. He never got the opportunity on Tuesday night. So I'm glad that he went home a torn-faced midden. And the good thing was, again, with the goals early on, we managed to kind of feel our way into the game. We managed to shut down the away crowd, silence them, and just play our football. We came away without any injuries as far as I'm aware, no suspensions, which is great. There was a talking point about the red card for St Mirren, which we'll get into. Ross, starting with yourself, Dyson Maida with the opening goal. First minute, you can't really ask for any more. I can't actually remember the last time he scored for Celtic. Not saying that it's a long time, I just generally can't remember. But I think he's a player that whenever he's been playing on the right wing, and now Palmer's on the left, he's not really had a great game for Celtic, but I'm glad that he's in amongst the goals as well. So what was your thoughts of his contribution during the game and that goal itself?
Well, last season I was a big advocate for Maeda playing on the left, and he was playing on the left, Jota was playing on the right to accommodate Maeda, and I think that spoke volumes for him. For me, I think at the moment Maeda's playing on the right, not so much to accommodate Palmer, but I don't think I like Palmer. I don't think we've got a lot of great other options on that side. So you could essentially say it to an extent that Maeda's playing the right to accommodate Palmer, because we don't have many other options out there. But listen, I don't like him on the right as much. Other people think he can play both left and right. I think he's more effective on the left. Helps Greg Taylor out a lot. But as you said, he gets in amongst the goals. I still don't think he's fully up to speed, Maeda. He had a long period out there, and then he's coming back into a position. I might be wrong. It might be he might just like playing on both sides, but I think for me, on the face of it, he prefers playing on the left. But to get back in amongst the goals, I say it's a good confidence boost, and the goal itself I thought was absolutely brilliant. He makes a great run, and listen, Cal McGregor, he picks up middle of the park, he plays it into Matt O'Reilly, and he turns, and he's got his back to Maeda. He doesn't. You just know that they're doing that in training all the time. He doesn't need to look. He doesn't. He's not seen Maeda's run. He just knows Maeda's making that run, and he plays an inch perfect pass. And Maeda shows great desire to get in there and sort of tenacity to sort of shrug off the defender. And it's a typical Maeda finish. It's not a sublime pass it into the corner. It's just I'm in. I've had a dig straight at the keeper. It's not placed, but it beats the keeper and it gets us off to a perfect start. We've been to, I was going to say Love Street there. It's not Love Street anymore. I actually can't remember the name of their stadium. But like you alluded to there, Gavin, last couple of times we've been there, I might be wrong, but certainly in the last 2 or 3 times we've been there, we've lost the first goal and you're chasing your tails, and we didn't want that off the back of obviously the big victory against Rangers and the fact that Rangers had played before us and already got the 3 points in the bag. You wanted to get off to that sort of start, and it just calmed everything down, and then we just were able to play our game there. But what I will say is we started the game really well and we played with a lot of energy, and that's what we haven't been doing, certainly in the games that we lost previous to that early part of December. And that's what we need. Listen, I don't know who's going to come in over the January break. I don't know if MD will be in by the time we get back up and running again. But regardless if we sign anybody or not, we need to start games at that pace, and we need to press teams the way we were pressing, certainly in that first half, and try and take the game away from teams as early as we can. Because if we don't, they get into a shape and they just sit, and then Celtic find it really difficult to break teams down, especially when you've got your wingers coming inside all the time, and then you end up going across the front of the 2 banks of 4. So that's how we need to start, and I was really pleased, and both for the team and Maeda.
Aye, good summarisation of the goal as well. What I liked about that goal specifically was that obviously we took advantage of their defensive frailties earlier on. It's almost like they never got going, and we played through the lines. Normally a typical Celtic goal is playing out wide, and we kind of telegraph our intentions. But McGregor fed O'Reilly. It was a through ball, and then O'Reilly, as you said, he barely had to look, and he played it through ball into the box. So it wasn't really a ball out wide. Maeda was already in the box, and it was through ball, Maeda in the box, and he's got the option of hitting it square to Kyogo or going for the goal, and he took advantage. He had the confidence. He had to kind of at the keeper a wee bit, but it squirmed under the keeper's arm. Great to see, and great vision, of course, from Matt O'Reilly. Stephen, moving on to the next goal, again, it's Matt O'Reilly who executes it very well. He shows a lot of composure in the box. One phrase I like to say was calm as a Hindu cow in the box. Think about it. But
I have no idea, but it's funny.
That's too good for me. It's too clever for me.
I actually got it from Fight Club. It's not my own witty. Brad Pitt said it in Fight Club. Calm as a Hindu cow. But the goal actually came from Palma, and Palma, I'll be honest, I've said on this podcast that for me he was a bit of a grey man. He could walk through a crowd and murder somebody and nobody would see him because you just don't know, you just don't see him. He's a grey man. But in the past few games, the guy is certainly relishing this consecutive run. For the actual assist that he made, it was I know we like to get carried away, but if Zidane did something like that, you would like prop up and notice. The way that he took the ball, with the first touch, he executed at a Cruyff turn. He took his marker out the game, and then he fed a ball to Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly kind of takes a touch. You thought he might allow it to run across him. Takes a touch, maybe a wee bit heavier than intentioned, but it takes his defender out the game, and then he manages to slot it past the keeper. Beautiful move. Looked amazing on the eye, and we're 2 up within 6 minutes. So I guess that's kind of a culmination of the confidence, the growing confidence of Bernardo and O'Reilly, which we know the quality that he brings to us.
I think it's the confidence of getting 4 starts in a row and building his relationships with his teammates around him that's really playing a key part in the games at the moment. And if I go back to the first goal, it was very reminiscent of when Rodgers first came, when the wingers made the run from the wings into the box. Like Sinclair would do it, Forrest would do it, and players were playing them inside passes. The thought O'Reilly executed that pass great. And like you said, Gavin, although Maeda smacked it at Trevor Carson, he wasn't saving it. It was a good goal in the end. Or whoever was in goal. I think it was Trevor Carson. But the second goal was fantastic. Bernardo literally body rolled his defender in the box, had the composure to find O'Reilly, and O'Reilly again took a touch and a good finish as well past the goalkeeper. And I just think watching Bernardo at the moment, he's so elegant. We were all questioning what does he do, what does he bring to the team, but I'll tell you something. He's brung assists and he's brung 2 goals over the last 3 games, and I think that's a fantastic return. And I'm really pleased for him in terms of what he's providing. And like you said, Gavin, watching it, it was so pleasing on the eye, and I'll use your phrase there, not the Hindu cow one. I have no idea what it means, but I'll use the pleasing on the eye one. And he just takes it. He backs into the defender, does the Cruyff turn, has the composure not to freak out in the box, and then just finds O'Reilly. And again, beautiful goal. And the 2 midfield players who are most advanced get involved in that, and it was excellent. And it was a great start. Big 2 goals up in 6 minutes. And St Mirren are one of them teams, I would say, probably outside of ourselves and obviously the team across the water. They're the most physical and most athletic in the league. I think Stephen Robson has them well drilled. And yeah, we all like to beat them and stuff like that, but you have to give credit where it's due sometimes. He has that team organised. He has a lot of fit players in it. He's got players who play international football as well for their countries, like Backus plays for Australia. He's a good player. Ryan Strain, the likes of them. So yeah, they're a good athletic team. And coming off the back of a fantastic win against Rangers, you're always feeling that kind of lull or that kind of sense of, oh no, we got to go again. Can they get the same momentum? Can they get the same energy? And like Ross said, we started that game on fire. It was excellent. The first 10 minutes especially was powerful.
That's a really good point. I remember whenever the lineup was announced for the Celtic and St Mirren game, and I was thinking, have we made a wee mistake by not refreshing? I even thought maybe like Anthony Ralston and ahead of Alistair Johnson, just be a rest after the rigours of the Celtic derby. Some comments here for the viewers. For San Fran Celtic under Ange, O'Reilly wouldn't take that touch. It was a beautiful second touch in his opinion. For Paul McFarlane, it's like Stephen's round. It comes and it goes and nobody notices. Stephen, take no notice of that. He's wrong. Alistair Jackson, he heard talk today of Mikey Johnson going to Hearts as part of a deal for Shankland. I think that the Hearts fans would probably crucify Mikey Johnson if he ever went to that side of Edinburgh. No, I wouldn't sanction that move for Mikey Johnson just out of his own personal safety. See, talking about Bernardo though, I told you my earlier impressions of him. We're getting to know more about him, and let's obviously be frank. He's only 21 years old. Whenever you come over to, I think Jota was probably the outlier of that in terms of Jota, similar age Portuguese coming over to a foreign climate, but Jota was an extrovert. He was just brimming with confidence. He was a showman. Bernardo, you would imagine, is maybe a little bit more introverted, and maybe that's why it's kind of taken him a little bit longer to show what his worth is. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing of Bernardo, but of course, one swallow doesn't make a summer. I think we need to judge it at the end of this season to see exactly how much of an impact Bernardo is making. You don't want to, it's too small of a sample size for us to get carried away and say, let's pay X amount of million. I think I read the report. It might be 6 million perhaps that we might have to pay. I don't know if that's 1.5 we've already paid and that's deducted from the overall price. I'm not too sure. Ross, on these early impressions, are you getting carried away with Bernardo, or are you assertive enough in what you see right now? Do you think he is a player that we need next season if potentially O'Reilly does leave?
Well, a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people saying that they don't know what Bernardo does before this sort of wee clustery really good games that he's had. And I've always thought he was a decent player. He keeps the ball moving. It's nothing fancy, like you said. I thought that was an absolutely brilliant point. I wasn't going to use the same words, but I was thinking about it when you were saying it, that Jota is an extrovert, and I don't know so much if Bernardo is an introvert, but Jota's in a position in the park where you get to go and express yourself that bit more. He's a more skillful player, and I get that's absolutely what you mean when you say that. And Bernardo, he's took a bit more time to grow into the role, and that obviously comes along with the fact that he's not had a run of games like Stephen alluded to, and he's getting that now. My only thing is that now that Hatate's obviously back on back fit, I think you would probably still have to say that Hatate, the midfield three, McGregor, Hatate, and O'Reilly is probably our first choice. I've advocated for a long time for Awata getting into the team, and I like Awata. I think he allows Cal McGregor to push up one, and then he can sort of do a bit more on the top end of the field. But then at the same time, I think when, certainly in that game the other night, I seen it probably more than ever, was that with Bernardo in the team, I think, I'm not saying we're playing like Ange Postecoglou's team, but certainly that midfield three, they were all having shots at sort of going. Cal McGregor was still playing a wee bit deeper than the rest of the guys, because he likes to pick the ball up at the edge of the box and sort of dictate the play. But there was that. I felt that there was more, what's the word, sort of alternation between the players and the roles of that. It wasn't like you're the 8, you're the 6, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I wouldn't say right now that we have to pay £6 million for Bernardo. It's a big fee. It's a really big fee when you take into account that we got Hatate for I think it was in the region of 2.5 million, something like that. Stephen's laughing because I don't know him. Couldn't pronounce my words. No. But you take into account we got Hatate for sort of 2 to 2.5 million, I think it was. But listen, Bernardo's 21, like you said. It's still a young age, but for me, he is really coming onto a game. I felt he was a decent player anyway, but he's came on to another level again in the last few weeks. We've got this break. It remains to be seen whether he's going to get that run of games again if Hatate stays fit. But certainly I would be comfortable with alternating that midfield three and not just saying it's a rigid, like, boom, it's Hatate, O'Reilly and McGregor, as much as you would probably say on paper. That still edges the best front three. But time will tell on Bernardo. But actually, I was watching Monday's podcast today, and I think it was James that had made the point about, obviously, if O'Reilly does go, then Bernardo is sort of coming to the fore, where he could be that not ready-made replacement, but that replacement for O'Reilly. I think it was James. I might be misquoting him there, but I hope I'm not. But I agreed with that, and I never really thought about it, but it does make sense that O'Reilly, I don't think he's going to leave in this window, but I think we all have to resign ourselves. If he keeps playing at the level he's playing at, there'll be suitors in for him who play in not bigger clubs, but bigger and better leagues than we play in. And you have to resign ourselves to that, as much as we don't want to. Bernardo, it's still up for discussion whether he can be the guy to come in and be that replacement. But he's not doing himself any harm at the minute.
Aye. I do agree with what you're saying, and there's a lot of good points that you raise. Stephen, we're now 50 minutes in, and it's probably time for a cliche. We've got our midfielders back, all fully fit, seemingly, so it's a good headache to have for a manager. So we're talking about Atate. We know what Atate has brought us during his tenure at Celtic. I would actually contest that Atate might not have been his brilliant self for almost close to 12 months now. I don't think he's really got started this season. And whenever he came back at the end of his injury last season, I felt he struggled. I think it might have been, maybe 12 months is a wee bit of a stretch, but I remember the semi-final at Hampden against the Rotten Mob. Atate was rushed back from injury. He was probably brought off at the hour mark when he was flagging, he was huffing and puffing. I just felt that he was rushed back from injury too long. And I felt even since then, he's really struggled to regain his form. But we know Atate is a proper entertainer. Let's not get it twisted here. When Atate is on form, he gets bombs off the seats, you know. Brilliant to watch. He got that kind of low centre of gravity. He's able to take the ball on a half turn faster than anybody in our team. And he's able to just drive through this acceleration, burst past people into space. And the only kind of failing, I think, is perhaps sometimes his decision making whenever he does engineer this space for him. But as I said, you know, he's back from injury, away to the Asian Cup, but he'll come back and hopefully we'll be able to enjoy his availability for the rest of the season. So we've got him, we've got Bernardo, who's coming on to again. The differences between the two is quite intriguing because you've got the physical nature of Bernardo. He's been preferred in the Champions League games. I felt that Atate this season has not done himself any favours at all in the Champions League. I think he's been making these no-look passes this season, giving the ball away, really schoolboy decision making that he's made at the games where we want him to thrive upon. He's not delivered. And you saw that at the start of the season when he was fit, but Turnbull got the jersey for the opening game. Turnbull's not been able to take it. Hatate's been given it, but he's in and out, injury. Bernardo's doing well. Is it off the ball work? Bernardo, again, very, very good. Pressing is brilliant. Not the same as Atate. Atate can't do that. But on the eye, Atate looks brilliant. He might get that 20 million move down south. Bernardo might not engineer that for maybe a couple more seasons. You see the benefits of both. From a pragmatism point of view, Bernardo's your man. But from an entertainment point of view, Atate is your guy. Again, still early days with Bernardo, but where do you see their futures lying at Celtic?
Well, at this current moment, Bernardo has a jersey, and for me, until he has a dip of form, he should stay that way. I know we're all buzzing and we're happy that Rio Atate's back, and Ross makes a great point. The midfield trio of O'Reilly, Atate, and Kalmack of previous seasons and previous history is the best at the go by and the best quality that we have. But Bernardo's shown what he's capable of. I think, as well, adding, as I said, assists and goals to his game, the defensive qualities, his pressing. I think he's up there with the highest pressures in the team. I've seen like a stat thing. Him, O'Reilly, and McGregor were above 10 pressures in the game against St Mirren. And I think that was the highest out of all players involved. And if you have a midfield three that's functioning, and again, what Ross said, and they're alternating between positions, and they're moving forward together, they're going back together. It's great to watch, and that is pleasing on the eye. And I think if I go back to the comment here, the Pork Chop Express, what a name. Bernardo and Matt complement each other, both similar players on the left, one on the right, and they play off each other well as well now. Wouldn't say he's Matt's replacement, but maybe his partner. And that's the way I'm looking at it. But I do get that he could be his replacement in time. Obviously, we can't be naive to think that O'Reilly's not attracting interest. But in terms of Atate, we know the indifference that he had at the start when Rodgers came in. Rodgers made it clear to him that he wants to play a different role in the team. And I think Rio took a wee while to adapt to that. Before he got his injury, he was coming on to his game. He was doing a lot of what Rodgers was asking him to do. And I think Brendan even said that in a few press conferences. And then, unfortunately, he suffered that injury. And we've seen what it meant to him, by the way, when he came back on on the pitch against St Mirren. He was kind of emotional at the end of the game. Obviously, a lot of rumours saying is he leaving and all that kind of stuff. It's quite funny reading that. But Rodgers comes out and says it's because he was emotional and being back on the pitch after a long injury. I just think the way this team's been going over the last maybe 3 years, from Postecoglou to now, whoever has the form and playing well in the jersey keeps it until such times when it needs to change. That's not me again discounting what Atate brings to the team. And to be fair, Gavin, you're right. Atate's the eye pleaser, isn't he? He's the one who can take the ball in the half turn. He's quick. He's fast. He can link up with it. He can link up play. He's played as a striker before. He's a wonderful strike on him. But then on the other hand, Bernardo's tall. He's physical. He gets stuck in, and he can score goals and he's assisting. So it's a good battle to have. And I think as well, what we're loving about Bernardo, he's doing what we probably expected home to come in and do, to take that chance and make that number 10 his own, but he didn't do it, even though he shows potential. I do agree. Turnbull, I think he is flogging a dead horse with him now. Iwata, unfortunately, got injured, but when he was in the team, he played well, and I do think we should keep him around because he's a different option to have. And me and Ross always talk about maybe him and McGregor as a 2-6s in the Champions League. I think that'll be a great option. But it's all about form for me, and I think we've done it too many times with Atate, too many times with the likes of Abada. We rushed them back, and then we wonder why they get injured 2 to 3 weeks later, because they're getting ushered in for full games and to fill a void, and it shouldn't be like that. If we can bring Atate back in increments, and I think the Asian Cup will be a blessing for us as a club, because that can get his fitness up. He's going to be training every day with Japan. He's going to get minutes. And then coming back after the winter break, he should be fit and firing to go. And obviously, depending on his form in the Asian Cup, if he has a brilliant Asian Cup, then if you put him in against Bucky Thistle, like, who am I to say anything? But I think Bernardo, on form, he should keep that jersey. Otherwise, again, if you're taking him out, putting the Tate in, what does that say to Bernardo? Do you know what I mean? So you have to keep it like that, I think, just for the time being.
Yeah.
But drop scales and play another. Okay. Sorry, I
let
just
it go.
Get that in there.
Let it. You had to do it. I made a great point there. I was on a roll, and you done
that. That was brilliant, kid. I'm just sorry. I couldn't resist that.
Willie, when Hatate's back, fit and firing, and as a run of games, he's up there with Kalmak as top 2 best players at the club, in my opinion. I would say that the midfield battle is probably the most intriguing right now in terms of selection for Celtic. At centre back, it's more of a worrying selection because people are getting injured and things like that. You don't know people's true potential, such as Naropski, Lagerbielke. People that we brought in are not turning out to be what we had hoped for. Centre back is a totally different kettle of fish from the central midfield position. But it's good in centre midfield. It's good to have those kind of problems, and hopefully you mentioned Thiago Holm. Out of all the YouTube clips, I thought Thiago Holm looked one of the most talented recruits that we brought in.
Yeah, he played over 100 games for Vålerenga in Norway. I think that was his club. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, for a young man to play in that position, to receive the ball from defence and turn around, and what he was doing in his domestic league was like taking it around people, sprinting past people, and then distributing the ball. Obviously, Quan's YouTube clips were fantastic, but Holm took second best for that. I had high hopes for Holm, but maybe next season is going to be his year. We'll find it more. So yeah, an intriguing one for that. Now, following on for that game for St Mirren, we've got the sending off. I was watching it with the wife, and the wife was going crazy whenever Joe Hart get leathered on the head. I don't think the boy actually drew blood from him, but I think the referee, correct me if I'm wrong, did the referee give a yellow, and then VAR called him over, looked at it, and said, "You're red." Funnily enough, Chris Sutton was actually talking about it in commentary, saying you're entitled to go for it. Whether you are entitled to go for it or not, if it goes wrong, that could be a life-changing moment. You know what I mean? But sorry, I know that's pure dramatic. I'm thinking back to Johnny Thompson and Sam English about 100 odd years ago when a fatality happened. But whenever you connect with somebody's head, you know, it could go horribly, horribly wrong. Now, you might not wipe it out of football, but what you can do is red card someone whenever you do make contact, especially with a bit of force, which he did. Now, there was no malice. I think we can all probably agree to that. There was no malice. He was going for the ball, but he kicked Joe Hart on the head. And brilliantly, Joe Hart never egged it. He went down, and whenever he realised he was okay, he stood back up again. He never over-egged it. Our own players never dramatised the event. We let the referee handle it, which he should. He handled it the right way. I think the right decision was made. Ross, any comment on that at all?
No, I haven't. I look at it and I'm like, the guy is entitled to go for the ball, right? He's on the stretch. He's not going to get there with his head. So there's no malice in it, like you say. It's an instinct. When you're playing on the pitch, you're trying to score a goal. He's a striker. He sees the ball coming across. He's only got eyes for the ball, and the only way he can get to the ball is by outstretching a leg and trying to get a touch on it to take it past the keeper, who, you have to say, he's not looking at him, but he's going to assume that Joe Hart is coming out. But he doesn't try and connect with Joe Hart's head. He tries to connect with the ball. Joe Hart gets there first. He misses the ball by inches, and it's not a kick to the head. It's a coming together where he connects with his head. His foot connects with his head. It doesn't look nice. The referee made the decision on the pitch, and if he'd gave a yellow card, I honestly wouldn't have had a problem with it. I'd have went, fair enough. But we've got VAR now, and VAR is there. Whatever way you look at it, he's seen it again. He's been shown a still. Now, it's not anything. I'm not comparing it to the Maeda sending off at Atletico Madrid. But again, that was a still. It makes it look a lot worse. It was a lot worse than Maeda's. But there's no malice in it. But when you see it again, the still, in this day and age, you're going to get a red card for that, whether you meant it or not. It's just the way it is. But if there'd been no VAR in place and the referee had given a yellow card, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But it was worthy a red card, I have to say. But if a yellow was given, we move on and we go on with the game. There was no malice in it. But it's a different age now.
Yeah. Stephen, I think there's probably a general consensus that everybody would agree with what Ross has said. Anything further to offer?
It was a letter of the law. Now it was a red card, and like whether the player meant it or not, which he didn't. I think we can all see that in his reaction after it as well. And I think Joe Hart, he done the right thing. He didn't over dramatize it like you would see with other teams, who in the league rolling around clutching at straws. It was a red card. It was studs to the face at the end of the day. It wasn't like Joe Hart's head went down to his foot. His foot went up to Joe Hart's head. It was above waist height. There was force in it because he was going for the ball. And you have to think of these outcomes as well. Gavin, you kind of referenced it could have ended badly. It could have been an injury. It could have been. So, I mean, and the red card was justified. But at the same time, a yellow card would have really huffed and moaned about it. No, because at the end of the day, we're still winning that game. But yeah, the red card for me was the correct call. And we didn't release a statement, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah. And you remember, of course, Turnbull gets sent off last season for exactly the same thing. Although I think Turnbull's kick was more of a Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of aerial fly kick, if you remember that one. Yeah,
I think I do remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I think I do. Is that the one where he was like mid-air type thing?
Yeah, Bruce Lee. That reminds me, totally random. Stephen, I know that you don't advocate product placement on a podcast, but what type of beer is it that you're drinking? I've seen that label. Can you just show it to the viewers, please?
He's done that. He's done me a cracker here, hasn't he? Cruz Campo, and it's from Sevilla. So there we go. Why are you laughing? Every time I'm speaking,
because he's going to do me up like a capper the now, and he knows he is.
Go on, Gavin, bring him in. Ask him what he's drinking. I'm sitting back.
Oh, before I move on, is that quite a fruity beer, Stephen?
Oh wow! It's not a fruity beer. It's nice. It's got a bit of oomph to it, so it does. It's lovely.
And Ross, we did mention Jean-Claude Van Damme. What beer is it that you're drinking tonight?
Well, originally I had a Spaten out my machine, but my brother-in-law left a couple of cans, and to save me going pouring another pint, I brought the Coors that everybody slagged Stephen for last week. And it's actually not as bad. It's quite a refreshing drink, actually. It's a good drink for drinking your slippers. Put it that way.
Must have been on sale. Must have been on sale. Aye. Good stuff. Right, okay. Moving on just for the remainder of the game. Bernardo, we've spoken about him at length already, but he got another assist, and it was for Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor's had an interesting season. I know that Ross, I think you gave an incorrect answer on the quiz earlier on, and you said that he doesn't. He's a current Celt who receives undue criticism. You said Greg Taylor. Now, Greg Taylor did get his goal. Correct me if I'm wrong. First goal of the season, Greg Taylor.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
He got a few last season. I think his best goal for Celtic was the winner against Hearts away. Loved that game, the 4-3 game. That was the first Celtic domestic game with VAR. Memorable game. However, fast forward to Tuesday there. Greg Taylor, he's doing his usual, which we did see under Ange Postecoglou, moving forward into the opposition half. Bernardo, a cute little chip, dinked it over the defence, and Greg Taylor, confidence. He takes it first time, side foot volley past the keeper. Beautiful goal, getting into the right position. You want to see your forwards do that. So no complaints there. Stephen, what's your thoughts on Greg Taylor? Pardon me. What's your thoughts on Greg Taylor so far this season? He doesn't have meaningful competition. Probably, apart from Joe Hart, probably the only other individual in the Celtic team who doesn't have meaningful competition. Greg Taylor, what's your thoughts on him? First two seasons under Ange, brilliant, looked rejuvenated. Now, is he going back to the player that we I don't know. I'm not even going to finish that. What's your thoughts on Greg Taylor?
Well, I guess a good point here. Taylor regularly gets more passes into the final third than any of the mids. Again, he's effective when he plays that inverted fullback role. There's no question about it. I think that's his natural ability. He used to be a midfielder. You can see that in him. He's good at spraying a pass. He's good at finding the wide men. Like you said, Gavin, at the start of the podcast, like a typical Celtic goal would come from. But the traditional fullback role that Rodgers wants, and I think that's pretty clear, he's not good enough for it. And I think Rodgers has done the right thing by compromise, by getting the best out of what he has. And Greg Taylor is the best at that inverted fullback position. In regards to competition, he has none. Burnaby is drinking Coors or Ross. There's no one else. There's no one else there to challenge him. Frame, the young player, came in, a lot of hype about him. He's back in the youth squad, so I don't think he's going to get a look in. So for me, it's imperative if we sign a left back to challenge Taylor or better that position and get a better quality player in. There's rumours about obviously different people coming in, that which we'll come on to. But look, I'm not Greg Taylor's biggest fan. I never have been. I do appreciate his goal was fantastic. Again, it was hit straight at the goalkeeper, but the power took it past him. And I think we have to take a time to appreciate the pass from Bernardo. I thought it was fantastic, over the top, the Greg Taylor to find that run, and he volleyed it in the first time. So brilliant all-round goal. But yeah, I think for me, Taylor does what he can do in the inverted position, which is good. But the traditional fullback role, Gavin, he's just not quite up to speed.
Granted. Look, Ross, I'm under the impression that you are a bit of an advocate for Greg Taylor. Perhaps not the president of the Greg Taylor fan club, but I'm sure that you've got his back to an extent. The one thing that I would like to get your kind of thoughts on is, now somebody said it in the post, Greg Taylor can't grow any taller. You know, he is what he is. He's as fast as he'll ever be. He's as tall as he'll ever be. The one thing that I would level at him is sometimes his awareness positionally as a fullback. I've watched sometimes whenever the opposition just lob the ball up, and Greg Taylor at that point might be at the halfway line, and then he kind of starts running back, jogging back, and he doesn't have a good awareness of where his winger is, the guy that he's meant to be marking. He's looking at the ball, but he doesn't know where the guy is, and he gets caught out, I feel, too many times. So his physicality is what it is. You know, he can't do anything about that, but I think maybe his footballing IQ positionally could be improved upon. What's your thoughts, or am I just being overly harsh?
No, I totally take on board what you're saying, and I would agree with that to an extent. I would probably agree with that for the most part this season. But when Greg Taylor first came in under Neil Lennon, he was asked to play an out-and-out wing-back, and he couldn't do it. He wasn't very good at it, but I've always said for day one that Greg Taylor, when Kieran Tierney left, I wanted us to sign Greg Taylor as his replacement. I wasn't saying it was going to be as good as Kieran Tierney, but that's the guy I wanted. As a defender, for me, one-on-one situations, face-to-face with a defender, I think he defends very well. In terms of his positional sense, I understand what you're saying, but I think under Ange, he was getting used to a role, playing as that inverted fullback, and he did get caught out early doors with that. But then he got used to it, and when Rodgers came in, he reverted back to that sort of like out and out fullback that you would say. And again, I don't think he done very well at it. Quickly, Rodgers realised that he's going to be more effective for me if he plays that more inverted role, certainly going forward. But I think because I understand what you're saying, that ball over the top, he gets caught out with it a lot. But I think it's because he plays so high up the pitch and so central that he's been targeted that, certainly because of his height, but I think it's because he is playing more narrow as well. I think it makes it look worse on him than what it would be if he was playing that more natural left back, and he's getting caught out, and then you're not getting to see Greg Taylor playing or coming up with that where he's set and he's ready to defend against his winger. I think when he's set and he's ready to defend against his winger, Greg Taylor can defend, but most of the time when it does go over the top, because he's playing more inverted, more inside the pitch, he's chasing his tail to get back, and more often than not you see Liam Scales coming across and covering him with his pace, and I think that, listen, you don't want to see that all the time, but I just think it's a sort of pitfall of the role that he's playing, and I think that you get the best out of Greg Taylor playing in the role that he's playing, going the other way, which is attacking and trying to score goals. So I think you sort of sacrifice that, and at times it'll show up and make Greg Taylor look really bad, certainly at that next level in terms of European stage. And I think he looked even worse this season because he also, as much as Liam Scales was covering him, he didn't have Maeda to help him out. Whereas last season, when he was playing that role, Maeda was the work rate up and down that line for Maeda is second to none for me in world football, work rate wise, not ability. But I think he looks more exposed this season playing that inverted fullback without Maeda, and it's only Scales that's covering it. Because I think Greg Taylor, I think he's shown for me when he is in that inverted fullback role, he can find a pass. He can play a pass over the top. He can play it through the lines. He can play it wide. And I think he really thrives. And I think in the last couple of weeks, he's been really good. I think he was really good at St Mirren. I thought he was brilliant against Rangers. Listen, I'm not saying Greg Taylor's the answer. If Rodgers wants to play, put it this way, if Rodgers wants to play an out-and-out wing-back where that guy's overlapping, because right now, if he's going to go with Palmer, we need somebody to overlap him because he's coming inside all the time. So if we can get somebody that's going to be able to do that and allow Rodgers to play the way he wants to play, rather than Rodgers playing the way Greg Taylor wants to play, then by all means do that. But for me, I know I answered the question. I can't remember what the question, how it was worded, but I just went to Greg Taylor straight away. I think he gets unfair criticism and he's the scapegoat. He maybe doesn't get undue criticism, but I can see personally, it might be wrong, but my personal opinion is that just what I've sort of outlined there is why sometimes he looks a bit more exposed. But in terms of the goal, I actually, I thought we scored 3 brilliant goals the other night, but that goal, I think, it doesn't really get the credit that it deserves. When you look at that goal, right, Bernardo's pass over the top, what is it?
So true.
What was I saying? The goal. Bernardo's pass over the top is nothing short of sublime. It's phenomenal, right? And then Greg Taylor hits the ball first time on the half volley. Aye, Gavin, you said it's right at the goalkeeper, but all you're looking for any player in that position is to hit the target, and you're going to score. And Greg Taylor does that. But for me, I look at it, and Celtic scored that goal, and again, I forget St Mirren's stadium name, but Celtic scored that goal in Paisley, right? See if Xavi plays the ball over the top in the new camp, and Messi hits it in the half volley. You're going, oh my God, what a goal that is. It's absolutely outstanding because the surroundings are beautiful. The surroundings aren't beautiful. It's no, it won't get talked about as much. It's Celtic, it's against St Mirren as the opposition. But whatever way you look at that, Bernardo has to execute that pass and he has to play it inch perfect for Greg Taylor to run onto it and hit it in the half volley. It was an absolutely, like we talk about the goals we've scored against Atletico Madrid at home, the one with O'Reilly and Kyogo. For me, that's as good as any of them. It was a phenomenal goal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No getting away from the quality of the goal, and for a defender to have the confidence to execute that type of finish, it certainly complements his repertoire. The other thing you kind of take into account is that Greg Taylor started his footballing career as a central midfielder, and then at Kilmarnock, he regressed further back. The coaching staff said, "Why don't you play as a left back?" And that can have its own benefits whenever you can see the play opening up, and you've got that space to kind of move into to affect the game, which he has done. I guess players' weaknesses and strengths are going to be stressed higher or a more intensity whenever you go up in quality, as it has done, as it inevitably will do. You represent Celtic domestically and in Europe, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We see the best and the worst of him. Whether he's going to be, adequate for Celtic moving forward, if we want to get better, if we deem left back as a position it should be strengthened, we'll find that out in due course, whether Rodgers really wants to do that or not. Probably, I would say that the popular opinion as Celtic fans would be, yes, we would like to see an upgrade in Greg Taylor. One thing I will say, the guy's got heart. The guy never ever shirks from responsibility, and I think he's kind of Callum McGregor's right-hand man in the dressing room and on the training field. I like that leadership. So regardless of the shortcomings, he never ever shies away, which tells you the character.
I think what people are hanging their hat on here is that Rodgers wants a similar profile to Alistair Johnson at left back. Tall, physical, athletic, robust, can go 90 minutes, can overlap, can underlap, can do both kind of roles. And I think that's what we're all hoping for. But I do agree, like, Greg Taylor, what he brings, he's developed into a leader within that team. We've seen it when he gave Mickey Johnson dog's abuse when he kept losing Tavernier, and rightly so, by the way. He needed called out because he was lazy in his tracking back. He was seeing popping up with goals. We see him getting involved with the celebrations and things like that. Look, I'm not underestimating what he brings to us as a club, but Ross mentioned that it's the next level I'm looking at. It's next year in the Champions League I'm looking at. Domestically, I'm happy with Greg Taylor. That's fair enough. But again, I know the counter argument is every player can be improved on. I totally take that on board. But if we're looking at the options that we could do in the summer, like Roger said, I think left back for me has to be a priority.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about it. See, whenever Ross was talking, I was obviously hanging on to your every word, but another part of my brain was thinking, sorry, I don't really like that.
You're the first that's ever said that. Thank you.
I didn't really like that. Trust me. Part of me was thinking, what's the best left backs that we've had since the 90s? I was thinking, I loved watching Tosh McKinley play left back under Tommy Burns. Martin O'Neill never had a proper left back. It was like 3-5-2, and the left winger was Alan Thompson, who was more of a forward-thinking midfielder rather than a defensive guy. Kieran Tierney, Izagiri, of course. Apart from those three, McKinley, Izagiri, and Tierney, I can't think of many others. Can you guys think of any? Have I got a blind spot?
That's a good one there, aye.
It's Red Skelton, Stephen Mahay. Can I throw one in? And look, maybe he didn't do amazingly well, but it's someone I enjoyed watching, and I love the fact you're laughing already because you think it's going to be shit.
I know who you're going to say.
Who?
Lee Naylor.
Go. No.
Lee
I
Naylor?
like
No?
watching.
All right.
I like watching Danny Fox.
Was he like a 6-month thing with the Celtic?
I thought he was good. Look, I'm not saying he's up there with the best. No. But I'm saying I thought he was a good footballer all round.
It was like a holiday romance. It was very, very brief.
See what you're saying with the guys that you mentioned there, Gavin. You obviously spoke about Tosh McKinley. For me, I don't think Tosh McKinley was that overlapping full, but I think I sort of look at Tosh McKinley in the sort of Greg Taylor mould, and then you look at Kieran Tierney and Izagiri in the same mould. As much as Kieran Tierney obviously took his position off him, I'm not saying Izagiri is as good as Kieran Tierney, but they were that mould. But I agree with you, there's not many more that you could pick out and go, they stick in your head. Lee Naylor, I think Lee Naylor was decent.
Solid.
Yeah, he had a lot of good games and big European games, but I mean, they played as a team. They were a unit. It wasn't just individual performances under Stratton that won his games. It was the unit as a whole. But Lee Naylor, he wasn't the greatest player, but again, in the big games, he turned up.
Lee Naylor, I think he won. He was a contender, or he actually won it. Played the season for his debut year with Celtic. He hit the ground running. Lee Naylor, opening year for Celtic, brilliant. He might kind of petered out after that, but I think he was. You're right. It was quite probably an adequate name to add to that list. There's been a lot of names have been kind of
El Kaddouri. Remember the guy, the Dutch guy?
Was it
Brahid?
Brahid. Who's El Kaddouri then? There was Hatem El Hamid, but he was a right back, wasn't he? Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a right back. Was it El Kaddouri?
We had a player called El. Did we have a player called El Kaddouri?
He actually scored at Ibrox, didn't he?
Aye, he did. I'm taking that one.
Have it, kid.
I think, by the way, see the most heartless fullback I've ever seen. I think he was actually a right mid. Jeremy Toljan from on loan.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
He didn't fancy it at all. He hated everything about Scotland. He didn't get it. He had no fight, no heart. He was an imposter, a mercenary. And
what about John Joe?
Oh no, John Joe, the most boring footballer ever to put on a Celtic shirt. That guy, oh wow, and I think he plays in Germany for like Hoffenheim or something now. It's crazy.
What about what was the other boy in the COVID season? Absolute gut rot.
The old one,
the boy with the long hair, the dreads.
Bauer?
No.
Was
he a right back? Am I getting mixed up? Maybe he was a right back. The Uruguayan Laxalt.
John's in the comments. You be careful. He was a left back.
Shite, man.
Laxalt was a strange looking human being. Right, okay. Let's move on from the left back conundrum. Right, okay. Brendan Rodgers came up with an interesting anecdote talking about January and the diet that us football fans feed upon, which is, of course, transfer rumours. And he spoke about Declan Rice. Damien Rice is that jazz, that jazz pianist, isn't he? Declan Rice.
Yes, aye.
Aye, he had this heyday a long time ago. Declan Rice, he said that we were very, very close to signing him. However, he got injured at the 11th hour and we never pulled the trigger. And then, kind of sliding doors moment, we saw what happened. He used to be a Chelsea youth product, moved to West Ham, then he eventually got some game time and he became their captain, of course. And you know what happens next. He wins with the Conference League. And he's now got his big 100 million move to Arsenal, and he's the darling of the English media. Stephen, out of curiosity, is there any kind of bitterness that he never continued with the Republic of Ireland?
One thing you'll get to know about me, Gavin, and really quickly, I couldn't care less about international football. I couldn't care less. But what I will say, you're the big fella Rice, going by his Twitter posts and all the way up to the Irish national team, he was all in. And then one day he just decided to switch allegiance, and I think that left a sour taste in many supporters' mouth for the Ireland team. But look, I don't hold no gripes against him. He's a fantastic player, and he's done well to get where he's at. And look, he plays for England and a team littered with talent, albeit they don't win the trophies they probably should do. But Declan Rice, in his own merit, is a fantastic world-class footballer. Do I hold gripes against him? No. Do I care about international football? Not particularly. Do I care about the Irish national team? No. But there we go. That's just my opinion on it.
And just to kind of touch upon John Tomlinson's comment there, do you have an affinity with the Northern Irish national team?
Don't listen to him. He's my cousin. He's winding me up. I'm Irish. I'm not Northern Irish. I'm always Irish.
And you are not a bitter man, of course.
I'm not bitter.
Just a quote from a song that I'd heard one time. What we're talking about, Rice. Rice would have been some player, but it is what it is. One moment he's getting put up for comments about republicanism, and then the next he's playing for England. How times change very, very quickly. Right, okay. So transfer rumours in general, then. Ross, let's start with Scott McKenna. We've seen this movie before. Apparently, he used to cost 10 million. Maybe he's now 2 million. I don't know. He got his move to Nottingham Forest, surplus to requirements. Would you take him? By the way, before I get your answer on that, the last time I saw him was when he came on as a sub for Scotland. We were playing against a Diddy team, and his first touch.
Diddy team.
There are many. It could have been Gibraltar. It could have been, I don't know. The ball get passed to him, and he misjudged the space, the timing, and he ended up, his first touch became a tackle, and he got yellow carded. That's my last memory of Scott McKenna. What's your thoughts on the guy? Is he good enough for Celtic?
Well, I'll start with the pros. He's 27. He's in the prime of his career. He'll bring physicality, certainly in both boxes. Celtic need that. They're lacking that. That's pretty much it. I don't think he's better than what we have. He's certainly not better than CCV. Currently, is he better than Liam Scales? Well, he's not playing that much football. Liam Scales is in the form of his life, and I don't think that McKenna at his playing at the top level of his career at whatever point that was at. I don't think it's ever been good enough to do what Liam Scales has been doing at Celtic in the last sort of 6-7 months. I look at Navarrete. He's come in and he's played a couple of games. He's getting back up to speed. I liked what I seen him at the start of the season, and I've liked a lot more what I've seen him in the last couple of games. I know it's a small period that we've seen him, but for me, I don't think that. Well, you look at that. That's two players, right? In CCV, so you're talking fourth choice right away, right? Then you look at it and go, right, what sort of money are we going to have to pay for him? I don't know what the fee is being reported at. It might be in the region of £2 to £5 million. So are we going to pay in the region of £2 to £5 million for a guy? Listen, Brendan Rodgers might want him. He might think he's the man to partner CCV long term. But at the moment, without knowing that, I look at it and I go, for me, he's third choice at best. I don't think, when you look at most of the squad, that we should be shelling out £2, £3, £4, £5 million on a guy that is going to be third choice. And for me, I don't think he can. When they say definitely can't break into the team, but for me, I've not seen anything, and I've not watched all his career, but I've not seen anything in the games that I've seen him playing that he can be the answer to be alongside Carter Vickers. There might be guys out there that have followed his career and will tell me otherwise, and I'm open to that, but I just don't see it. I really don't. It's even Lagerbielke. Listen, he might be away. I don't mind what I've seen of that guy. I think he's performed fairly well in a Celtic jersey, barring the sort of slip up which he got away with at Ibrox. I think he's performed fairly well. And listen, he's not been under immense pressure in all of the games he's played in, but I really don't see McKenna as the answer for us going forward. That if everybody talks about we need to spend more money on players and get players that are going to take us to the next level in the Champions League. That's no Scott McKenna for me. You look at it, he's went down to Forest, he's had a decent spell to begin with, but he's fell out of favour. So I'm like, they're in the lower echelons of the Premier League. Then I look at the Scotland squad. You've got Ryan Porteous, who I said I wouldn't take at Celtic. He's done okay down at Watford, but again, they're in the lower echelons of the Championship. Jack Hendry was deemed not good enough for Celtic. He's a better player now than he was at Celtic, but would I take him at Celtic? No. McKenna can't get in the team before him. Grant Hanley, he's getting to the sort of latter stage of his career, and he can't get in the Scotland team before him. There's far more reasons that point to me that Scott McKenna won't be the answer for Celtic than reasons that do. So for me, at the minute, it's a no. But if Celtic do sign him, I'll trust Rodgers and I'll give him the benefit of doubt. But the jury for me would be out massively on that one.
Ross, you've actually convinced me. Like, the longer you spoke about that, the further that you convinced me that was a grim question I threw at you about Scott McKenna. You know, like, he just doesn't have it, man. And like Brendan Rodgers spoke about quality. January is the time to bring in quality. He does not want quantity. We've done enough of that project push. Albeit McKenna's never going to be a project signing. He's of that age where he's just going to be a numbers guy. But we do not need that in January. Lagerbielke, I would still favour Lagerbielke. You've got Scales, Norotski, and Cameron Carter-Vickers. That's 4 people. Like Kobayashi, by all means, pardon my French, he can get to fuck during January. But we've still got 4 other centre-backs who can stay about. Stephen Welsh, hopefully he's not out for too long. But McKenna, no. I would definitely rather Stephen Welsh over McKenna. And I'm not against Stephen Welsh hanging about the club as part of the kind of 4 centre-backs. John Kiernan, McKenna's another John Souttar, overhyped waste of cash. Yeah, I think a lot of people can concur with this. Stephen, Ross is completely right. The way that this season has transpired, we need to give the fans a lift. And again, I apologise for even bringing up the name of McKenna, but McKenna is not befitting of the bill. He's not befitting our requirements right now. He's not what we need for this season or for next season. He's not going to enhance the team. He's another James McCarthy signing, you know.
Yeah, I mean the McKenna thing. I was thinking the Brendan Rodgers, sorry, at Leicester, and he didn't have the most eye-pleasing centre halves. You remember Söyüncü, the Turkish guy he had? He was probably of a similar mold to McKenna in terms of there's no nonsense, straight in the tackle, just gets the ball away. John was saying that in the comments as well. I think he had the likes of Wes Morgan at the start. He was obviously the captain and people of that ilk. So he's had a physical presence at Leicester City. Maybe he wants to bring that to us. And I think Ross said that's the only pro that I can see McKenna bringing to the team. And in other essence, he's slow. He can't turn. He's not what we exactly call a ball-playing centre-half. So if you're looking at a defender to play off the back, he's not it. And if we play a high line, and I think it would be greatly exposed, especially in European football. I said it last week, McKenna shouldn't be anywhere near the football club. I think it's one of these ones that's a player who's always going to be linked with Celtic. It's Scottish. He's played in the SPL before. He's out of favour with Nottingham Forest. Maybe it's just regurgitated news from the likes of the record and papers of that nature. I wouldn't be excited about it. I know Ross was saying about his time in the Premier League, but ultimately that's been a failure. And I think he's talked about the Scotland squad, which, again, it's not my expertise, but he doesn't get into it. So that says a lot for me. I mean, Porteous plays for Watford. He gets into it. And Grant Hanley, who's near 45, he still gets in above McKenna. So I wouldn't take him. And it's not going away. It's not dying down, which worries me quite a bit. Is there gravity with the rumour? Is something happening behind the scenes? You also seen today that Sevco, they're interested in him. So I'm looking at that going, if they're kind of trying to fight with us to sign him, let them have him. Let them have McKenna. We do not need him. I think that comment from John Kiernan about the John Suter thing. I think that's totally bang on. He's just another John Suter for me.
See, the thing is, as well, like, listen, I'm not saying Rodgers wants him, right? It's rumours at the minute, but if Rodgers does want Scott McKenna, right, I can only think that Rodgers has changed his thinking of what he wants his defenders to do, because when he first came in at Celtic, I forget the guy's name, I've been racking my brains, but he got rid of the boy that went back to Midtjylland for not being a ball-playing centre-half. Sviatchenko, right? Yeah. He was a very good defender for me. Certainly a better defender than Boyata. He wasn't a bomb scare, but he couldn't play. He wasn't that ball-playing centre-half, and that's why reportedly Rodgers got rid of him. So why now bring in Scott fucking Cumbersome McKenna?
Cumbersome.
You're right. We'll get too many centre backs right now. We would have to get rid of several, not just one. We would have to get rid of several, plural, in order to actually accommodate McKenna. And again,
Gavin, can I throw something at you? I've been actually quite interested in this guy's comments. He must be new. And look, I'm not going to pronounce your name because I'll make an absolute arse of myself, and I don't want to do that, which I do anyway, but I don't want to do it to your name. It's just a funny. I mean, John was a big fan of this guy. Should never let Urhoghide go. Didn't have good ball control, but he was big and fast. Where do you stand on that one, Gav?
Well, by the way, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for the comment. Now, don't take this the wrong way. Now, I am not right and I'm not wrong. I don't have an authority in this, but I totally disagree with what you say about Urhoghide. I said that when I was on the Jungle Gyms podcast. Whenever we played Real Betis at Parkhead in the Europa League, we beat them, what was it, 3-2 maybe? We beat them anyway by a single goal. I watched him in the flesh and I felt that he was not a footballer. Did not rate him whatsoever. Now, I know that, it's maybe incorrect to write a player off after seeing him for one game. And again, it goes both ways. You can't sing a person's praises after one game. But I watched him in the flesh against Real Betis. Urhoghide, he played it right back. His positional awareness was appalling. I was watching the way that the winger was kind of jostling for possession, and Urhoghide, he was trying to look at the ball, trying to look at the guy, and he looked scared, he looked frightened, despite the fact that he was about 6 foot plus, a big lumpy lad. And then we did an episode on the Jungle Gyms after the game, and I said about that, and a lot of people disagreed with me. I'm like, fair enough. And I watched the game back, I recorded it, and I watched the game back, and it never gave a true picture of Urhoghide's performance. But even the footage, I'm like, no, there's no way I'm buying he's a footballer for Celtic. We got him when he was 18, 19 from Sheffield
Wednesday.
Yeah.
With Liam Shaw.
Well, by the way, that is a scattergun approach to the kind of cross-border rule when we get people on the cheap and we hope for the best. Same with that Shaw guy. Urhoghide, I don't think is going to make a proper career as a professional footballer. Certainly not at Celtic. Look, you need to be very, very good to play for Celtic. Never mind the fact that you need a kind of a mental what's the word? A mentality. Christ almighty, guys.
A mentality, Gavin. Come on.
You need to have a unique mentality, regardless of your ability. You need to have a unique mentality as an athlete to actually perform for a team like Celtic because of the pressure. He never had the footballing ability, and he looked like a duck out of water, and he certainly
just going to the toilet here.
Mentality here. Osazu Urhoghide for me was a dud. I agree with Corvo.
Totally agree.
I'm not shiting on your opinion. Don't allow that to put you off contributing more, because I'm not an authority on this. I just didn't rate him at all. Ross, what was your thoughts?
Listen, I sort of agree. I think a dud's a bit harsh because he was young, but for me, listen, the guy could run. He had power, but like Scott McKenna, who can't run, but like that isn't the only attribute you need to possess to be able to play for Celtic. How some people can advocate that Urhoghide could have been a good player for Celtic, but slate Greg Taylor is beyond me. Because Greg Taylor can play. Listen, he's not got the best pace, but for me, he can defend 1-on-1. Urhoghide, he might well go on to be a really good player if it's coached into him. But in terms of football and ability, I just don't think it was there. Like, he might be able to be a better centre half than he will be a wing back. But for me, maybe it was the right player, like the Ronnie Dyla question you asked earlier. Maybe it was the right player at the wrong time. That's probably what it was. I don't know what he's doing in his career right now, but he's certainly not playing at the top level. So I'm not losing any sleep over Celtic getting rid of Urhoghide.
Yeah. Another thing that I remember was he had this kind of weird galloping style when he was running up the pitch. It was very, very unorthodox. He didn't look like a footballer to me. But again, I'm not an authority on Urhoghide. I just
No, we're not. It's all about opinions, aye.
Of course.
And we welcome all that in the chat.
And for Mahesh Raja, he said, I can see your point, but given Celtic's budget, hard to get speed and skill at that price at points and operate. So Celtic need to look forward, speed at the back. I get your point. Sometimes you hope for the best, and that's what we kind of do with that kind of cross-border rule. We see people with potential in England. We know we can get them on the cheap, and we've done it numerous occasions. Like even going back to like Ben Hutchison for Middlesbrough back in the day, who, funny enough, experience for us.
Do you remember Tyler Blackett from Manchester United as well? All these different types of players.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. You win some, you lose some.
That's it.
That's it. What else? Okay, Shankland. Now, this is an interesting one. Now, I don't think that Shankland has been spoken enough on in the last few episodes that I've listened and I've been part of with this podcast. I think an honest discussion needs to be had about
Let's Shankland. Go. I'm strapping in.
Now, I am just going to try and play devil's advocate. I'm not saying what I think goes against Shankland is he's 20. I think it, correct me if I'm wrong, about 28 years old.
Yeah.
He's at the wrong age. Okay, he's at the wrong age for a sizable investment. I think Hearts have got about a year and a half left in his contract, so they'll hold on to him unless they get a pretty penny. Now you said never worth $5 million. That's fair enough, but he's worth whatever someone is willing to pay for. Maybe you'll get a championship club. I think that would be the preferential option for us. If a championship club came in for Shankland and took him away from Scottish football, I think we would all like to see that. But the unignorable fact is that he's the top goal scorer right now in Scotland. I don't think he's better than Kyogo, but in terms of as a goal getter, you know, he's close in those numbers. He went away to Belgium, I think, a few years back. Didn't work out for him. Came back. He thrives in Scottish football. He knows the game. Now, again, this is playing devil's advocate. So if you think I'm a Shankland fan, then whatever, I don't care. But I just want to get an honest opinion from you guys. Now, I think you would agree with me on this, okay? Sevco in the past few years, if you look at the victories that we've had against Sevco, apart from 4-0 at Parkhead and apart from a 3-0 at Parkhead that we've enjoyed, all the other results under Ange in the past 2 years have been just by 1-goal margins. And even this year, we beat them 1-0 at Ibrox, we beat them 2-1 there, Parkhead, 1-goal margins. A lot of those games, if you remember, or maybe we don't want to be honest and remember these, a lot of them they've missed glaring opportunities against us. If they had a striker of Shankland, of his calibre, especially in Scotland. I think he's good enough to put away those chances. Now, there's been unfashionable signings in Scottish football. Scott McDonald, a lot of people never wanted us to go for it. We got it, and that consolidates your domestic superiority. Gary Hooper for Huddersfield, not fashionable, but I know he's for England, but that's the guy. That's the guy who gets you the goals. And there's been other players of that ilk. Now, we might turn our nose up at Shankland. He's at the wrong age, too much money. He's not a Celtic fan. Okay, we don't like him, but is that a good enough reason for us to ignore the impact that he could potentially have at Ibrox? As I said, I would love for him to go down to England and we can get rid of him. But I think if he does go to Rangers, if they do want to spend that money, and they might not, but it would give them, I wouldn't say it'd give them the upper hand, but it certainly strengthens their prolificacy in front of goal. So I want to hear honest opinions from you guys. No snobbishness, no turning your nose up at it. What's your honest assessment of Shankland?
Who first?
Whoever wants to go first.
Ross, take it. Go ahead, buddy.
Right, okay. No, listen. This is my take on it, right? Lawrence Shankland is an out-and-out goal scorer, right? In the same way that Lee Griffiths was an out-and-out goal scorer. People turned their nose up at Lee Griffiths coming to Celtic. For me, it was Lee Griffiths came to Celtic at a time where we didn't have a top quality albeit Kyogo's he's not our number 9, but he is playing in that role. We didn't have that top quality player in there. Lee Griffiths came in and he scored goals for Celtic, like ridiculous amounts of goals. That 40-goal season, ludicrous, right? For me right now, I look at it. Lawrence Shankland, what's the fee talked about? Is it 2 million?
5.
Is it 5? Wow, right. Well, that changes things. Well, it doesn't really change things, because what I was going to say is, for me, Lawrence Shankland coming into Celtic, right, he's not going to take Kyogo's place. As much as you could say the both of them, if they get a chance in front of goal, I would probably, if it was 1-1 with the keeper, I would probably put my money on Shankland scoring it before Kyogo, right, as an out-and-out goal scorer. But what they bring to the team all round, and Chris Boyd saying that goal that Shankland scored against us, it was phenomenal. But then Kyogo just answered it, and he can score the goals as well, right? But if you're talking about an out-and-out finisher, Shankland's, for me, is better. If you're talking about an out-and-out finisher, like if Lee Griffiths was at Celtic right now, he's not getting in the team before Kyogo. But he's a better finisher than Kyogo. I don't think that's up for discussion. But I look at the Celtic team now. If we're going to pay 4 or 5 million for Lawrence Shankland, then it's a no-go, because he doesn't play before Kyogo, and you're not going to pay that sort of money for a guy that's going to play second or third string, right? So for me, for Celtic, it's a no. But like you, Gavin, I look at it and I'm like, for Rangers right now, they don't have that out-and-out goal scorer. They've signed that Fabio Silva. I don't think he's an out-and-out goal scorer. Sima is a very good player. I actually think he might be due to go back in January. I might be wrong. They've got Dessers. He's not an out-and-out goal scorer. Lammers, not an out-and-out goal scorer. That summer window, I looked at Rangers and I thought, they're trying to play a front three, and they've signed 3 number 9s. The boy, I think they got him for Feyenoord. Can't remember his name. Danilo. Aye. They're trying to play 3 number 9s. That is Michael Beale all over the back. He's an ineptness. But for me, like you said, I think Lawrence Shankland right now would be a perfect fit for Rangers. He's a very good player. He's not a perfect fit for Celtic, but he's a perfect fit for Rangers. They need a goal scorer. They don't have it now. And you made a great point. We have won games against Rangers by a single goal. And if they sign Lawrence Shankland, he could be the difference for Rangers between losing the game, getting a point, possibly even winning that game. So, as much as I'm not bothered if we sign or don't sign Shankland. I really don't want Rangers to sign Shankland. I totally agree with you. Going to the Championship or even the lower part of the English Premier League, I would be delighted with that more than I would be delighted if he signed for Celtic, because it stops Rangers getting them. Because if Rangers get him, he will get them goals that I'm not saying would be the difference, but it would certainly give them a better chance.
Ross, that crystallises my point. Thank you for that. It's not me advocating to buy Shankland because of the financial value that we would have to invest in him. It doesn't make sense. He's not a better player than Kyogo. Kyogo contributes more as a team player as well, apart from just the goals. So it's not that we should buy Shankland, but it's about, as you said, the danger that he represents if he does cross to the other club across the water. And by the way, just to kind of say, we had a comment from Daniel McAlpine. Hi guys from South Africa, Rangers do not worry me. Just to let you know, we did actually make a wee comment about your home country. We did speak about Oscar Pistorius in the breaking news earlier on today. I hope you've caught the full podcast. But Stephen, what's your thoughts about the danger that Shankland represents?
Fucking danger.
I'm going to nip to the toilet.
I mean, I can see here that in the comments, I would say 95% don't want Lawrence Shankland, whether it's because he's a Rangers fan or because he wouldn't challenge for the #1 jersey is up for debate here. I'm of the latter. I don't think there's no point outlaying £5 million for a striker to play second fiddle. I'm of the opinion we should be getting the best striker available to us, and hopefully that is better than Kyogo, that is better than O, and someone to come in and take the starting jersey, because that's what we need to do. Instead of buying more squad fillers, we've got enough of them. The striking department is short, I do agree, but again, giving Hearts £5 million for Shankland, I just think would be a criminal act. He's a great goal scorer, but let's be fair here, Gavin. He turns like milk. He's not the quickest player in the world. I think Liam Bhoys is 32, 33, and he's faster on him. His overall play at times is questionable. He comes up with moments of brilliance, and that's the hallmark of a good player. And Scott McDonald, I think you said Scott McDonald. I think comparing him to Shankland, I think Scott McDonald's miles above him. Link up play, getting involved with the team, can get in behind. He scored fantastic goals in European football, AC Milan, the volley against Sevco, things like that. Unbelievable memories. Shankland is nowhere near that for me. And William said it in the comments, he's not coming to challenge. And if you're going to spend that amount of money, you need someone to come and challenge for a starting position. This whole worry about him going to Rangers, I concur. If we keep doing the job, if we keep winning our games, if we keep beating them, if we keep scoring goals and keeping clean sheets, then we have nothing to worry about. Shankland is a decent striker at SPFL level, but so is Duke, so is Majowski, so was your man who left Hibs. I can't quite remember his name. He went to Millwall. He was a good player, and he's actually tanking at Millwall at the minute. So he is. But these are all decent. Nesbitt. We were linked with him before as well. These are all decent players. But can these players make the step up and challenge Kyogo? The answer for me is no. That's my opinion. And it's not because he's a Rangers fan. Like, we had Kenny Miller in our ranks and he did a job for us, and he actually played really well in European football, scored 2 against Benfica at one point. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is, do you have the quality to come in and make an impact in the team? And Lawrence Shankland, at 28 years old, doesn't.
Fair dues. By the way, to Pam, sorry about the quip about the Blade Runner. Not everybody's cup of tea, that type of humour, so I apologise if I did offend.
What did Pam say? All right, okay.
Yeah, it's not a funny topic, which is fair enough. No offence, mate. We've got one other player that we have been linked with, Nicholas Kuhn, Rapid Vienna winger. I think that was he on Bayern Munich's books before, and
yep.
Ajax as well, perhaps. I think he was touted as a wonder kid when he was younger, but it's not kind of worked out that way.
Gal, Pam said it's not you. Don't worry about it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, just as long as you're not offended, that's the main thing. Just want to make sure that everybody's happy in the comments. So thank you for clarifying that, Pam. Hope you're doing well. So Nicholas Kuhn, he's a winger. I was wondering if you guys have heard much about this guy. Yeah, so Ajax and Bayern Munich, he's been on their books before. He's a January transfer target. I guess the question is, are we in a position right now to buy a winger, and does his track record overwhelm you that he's going to be better than what we've got right now? We've bought a few duds. Like Telio, I know that our Australian friends were really hopeful of him. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you've got the ability, but you don't have the mentality. Sometimes you're the right face, but the wrong time. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. Telio, it seems like he's going to go back. Mikey Johnson, I think James in our podcast put it brilliantly. He's having his 10th pint in the Last Chance Saloon. Can't top that line. Wingers, it's been a bit of a conundrum, and for me, it's one of the most romanticised positions as a Celtic fan. You want to see attacking wingers. So I've been linked with this guy, Stephen, Ross. Either of you have read much about this guy? Do you know much about him? Do you think he could do a job for Celtic? Is it worthwhile to pull the trigger on him?
Going by what I've seen, and this was another Celtic website, I think it was Celts Are Here, so I'm not going to say this is my own. I wouldn't do that. Apparently, he's in the top 12 of wingers in the world for producing goal involvements, assists, and goals in the top end of the pitch. He's in the top 12 in the world, apparently, Nicholas Kuhn. And he comes from great stock. He was involved with Bayern Munich, went to Ajax, didn't work out, and then went to Rapid Vienna, and he's having a great time there. I think he's already on about 3 goals and 9 assists this season with Rapid Vienna. The only issue with me is, look, we need to get rid of a lot of wingers. Tilio needs to go out on loan. I wouldn't get rid of him permanently. I'll give him a loan move. Mikey Johnson just needs to go. Abada, he's back fit. That's great news. Maeda's fit. That's great news. We've got Palma and Yang. I like the 4 of them. If Nicholas Kuhn can come in and be that kind of Jota where you're taking the player on, like Yang, but more consistently getting there with the final product, I'd be well buzzing to get him in the door. And going by his stats, like I said previously, he's up there with the highest involvements in world football. Obviously not world leagues, but we're going by stats here, and he's right up there with goal involvements and things like that, which excites me. And he takes his man on, and he's quite quick. And I think we need that. We lack that. We do lack that with Palma, but look, my gripe is with Palma. And I think you said earlier, Gavin, he telegraphs a lot of things that he's going to do. Maybe the 2 times out of 10 that he doesn't, he produces magic, which is fantastic. But the likes of Yang, and if Kuhn comes in, they play off the cuff, they're skillful, they can get to the byline, you don't know what's going to happen. And I think we need that kind of different variation, like Ross talked about in the midfield with like Bernardo, O'Reilly, and Kalmack. Just the variations, alternating positions, and I think he could come in and complement that really well. And it's something we should look at, getting more quality on the flanks, because at the end of the day, we play the majority of football good down the wings, and I think any other good winger coming in. But again, we'll have to get rid of the deadwood that's at the club.
Ross, we've spoken about it earlier. We're talking about transfer rumours. Rodgers has said that the necessity for quality. Now, this guy, he got bought by the Austrian mob for 500 grand about 18 months ago. Apparently, they're looking for 4 times that. Now, for my maths, I think that's about 2 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. However, does this guy represent what the fans need, what the club needs? Like, we've got 6 months. Like, I said a while back to my mates, like, whenever we had that 8-point lead, totally digressing here, but are we almost at that point where the league is getting wrapped up? That was before Clement went on his run.
Clement, I like that.
But we are where we are right now. The 8-point gap has now been brought down, and it's, I don't know if you want to say squeaky bum time, but we've had our troubles, we've had our injuries, we've had poor transfers in the summer. We have mismanaged, but we are where we are now. We need to navigate from now until the end of the season. We can't really slip up more. But I guess I'm going back to this point. There's this rumour about a winger who's failed at other clubs, other big clubs, but maybe could do it at Celtic. Is he somebody who can be an asset, a proper asset, represent quality, which Brendan Rodgers has been speaking about?
Well, to be honest with you, I've never seen 1 second of this guy playing. My understanding is he plays out in the left, front three. Is that right? Aye.
Yeah, on the left, yeah.
So, I mean, it gives you that other option out there. I watched the St Mirren game the other night, and Yang came on and he played out in the left-hand side. I think it was Franny who said it in our group chat. I think we can all agree now that Yang's preferred side is the left-hand side, because he's not done it on the right, but he wasn't unbelievable the other night, but he looked more threatening on that side, let's say.
He did.
Aye. But he's still, and we're going to use the word that people slate us for in this podcast, but he's still very raw. But I don't know a lot about this. Was it Kuhn? Aye. I don't know a lot about him. But if he's more direct than a Palmer, and he's got more experience and he's less raw than Yang, then I'm all for him coming in, because we need our wingers on the face of it. I've made the case that, like say, Palmer comes in, he's more efficient than Jota, he's not as easy in the eye and stuff like that, but on the face of it, with more time looking at it, I don't think our wingers are as good as what we've had or we've enjoyed in the last couple of years. Obviously we've been missing Abada, but as I say, I don't know enough about this guy, but if he's more direct and he can go by his man on the outside rather than seeing Palmer come in the inside all the time, then you look at, if we can't get the left back right for the remainder of this season, if we can't get the left back that Brendan Rodgers wants, who is going to be that guy that overlaps, and he has to continue playing Greg Taylor as that inverted, then I'm not saying take Palmer out of the team, absolutely not. But this guy gives you that other option, a different option, where he can go on the outside, and that still allows Greg Taylor to play inside, and you're not getting that overload in the middle of the park where Palmer's coming inside all the time and there's nobody making the overlap and run. Listen, I don't know enough about the guy. I'm sort of guessing there, so my opinion might be totally wrong on that. But if he can do that, where he's more direct and he can hit the byline better than Palmer, then it's certainly a better option. And at £2 million, it's not a massive outlay. Is it the guy that's going to take you to the next level in the Champions League next season? That remains to be seen. But I don't think most guys that Celtic sign are not going to be the guy to take you to the next level in the Champions League. It's such a chasm. But they just... Celtic aren't far away at that level. And you can add bits of quality and you can say spend 6 million him, 6 million him. It doesn't mean we're going to get third, we're going to get second in the Champions League. On paper, it gives you a better chance. But you look at, we've said it a million times, you look at Matt O'Reilly, you look at guys like Atate, they've been that lower level of money. Then you look at guys that you've played higher level of money for, in terms of Ayeti, Edward even, to an extent. But none of these guys have been able to take us to that next level in the Champions League. So it's, you want to, as much as this sounds really bad, right? It's not how I feel, right? I want us to go to that next level in the Champions League and get second, get even third to get us into the Europa League. We should be doing better. But for me, the players we're signing, they're players that are going to allow us to win the league title, which then puts us into the Champions League, right? And everybody goes on about Rangers. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, by the way. But everybody's going on about Rangers and the results they're getting in the Europa League and all that. But they've only had one appearance in the Champions League in the last, I don't know, 12, 13 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Might be more. And they failed miserably, right? Celtic are a better team than, have been a better team than them in that period. And they have failed on more than one occasion in that Champions League. But if Rangers had been in the Champions League, they'd have failed the exact same as Celtic, Celtic haven't had as many appearances in the Europa League, albeit that Rangers got to the final, and they have done really well. But I think if Celtic played at that level, as regularly as Rangers, they would get victories, and they would build that confidence of playing at that level and be able to get the same results that Rangers have achieved. But they're playing at a higher level, and it's more difficult to build that level of confidence. But the players that they're signing are still good enough to win the league title. I know the point I'm trying to make here. I don't know if you do.
Well, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I just think for me, like the whole Nicholas Kuhn thing, and look, I've become, you know what I'm like, Ross. I just want bang bang, get the players in, first team ready. Rodgers wants that as well, right? There has to be a point where, as a club, we take a risk and do something in the transfer window. There has to be a point. Sorry. Do something. No, that's fine. You all know what's that? You're drinking that? You better be still in the beer, Gavin. That looks like plum juice or something.
I was drinking red wine before the podcast started. However, I now have a fourth bottle to go through. I've drank 3 already of this Peroni, but a good red wine is a good red wine, and I wanted to go back to it, man.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, but in regards to what you were saying, Ross, look, me and you disagree a lot when it comes to transfers and things, and you mentioned the European thing, and I'm going to be ultimately blunt as they always am. We failed miserably in Europe as well. We failed. We finished 4th in our last 2 campaigns. That isn't good enough. Regardless of we got a victory here, we got a draw there. We shouldn't be. No. I know what you're saying, but I'm saying what I think. And the next level player that Rodgers is talking about, I'm hoping and I'm trusting that he knows who that is, and he knows who he wants in. Because if it's Nicholas Kuhn, if it's Scott McKenna, who are we to say? Do you know what I mean? We can only give our opinion on it. That's the thing here. But I think he said it in his press conference. There's a lot of positions that he wants to prioritise, and there's a few positions he has to leave to the summer. I'm guessing that might mean the goalkeeping department. We'll probably see that. But yeah, the next level, who knows now? Who actually does?
I know.
Who does? Look, in terms of transfer rumours, you know, like, we could be on all day. There'll be more to come. We've got the majority. Gavin, yes. I don't know. I think like Bernabé is rather swift, but he's like, I said it before. His defending is like a dog chasing a crisp packet in the wind. So I guess that kind of probably summarises my movement. I don't know do I want a beer? Do I want a red wine? I don't know. Or I shout some vodka. Who knows? Not a complete alcoholic. I'm just enjoying my Friday night.
Yes.
However, one thing I will say about Ross, from what you were talking about, is that the annoying thing is that we're not going to buy a Champions League ready-made player. What we tend to do, like Matt O'Reilly is probably a perfect example. We buy a project, we build him up, build up his confidence, he expresses himself, and he is becoming almost a European ready-made player for his next club, which is probably the annoying thing. But that is a topic for another day, you know. And another thing, by the way, for all the comments, thank you for everybody's contribution. It's been absolutely brilliant tonight. We're not going to wrap it up right now. I am very, very conscious that we've surpassed the 2-hour mark.
It's normal for a Friday, Gav. It's normal for a Friday.
I'm actually grateful that you guys have not nudged me on the side to say, Gavin, wrap it up.
No. For that. What?
As I said, I'm grateful
drinking
for
beer
that.
in the spare room, and there's nobody talking to me apart from you about Celtic. It's all good.
it's class.
We're going to go on to the wee quiz. It's just a 10-question quiz that we've prepared. Ironically, Stephen had given me the comments, the topics earlier on tonight, and one of the topics at the bottom was Celtic quiz, and I just assumed that Stephen had prepared this. I'm like, Stephen, so we got the quiz tonight. I'm like, thankfully, I can go in the back seat and I can give some questions, you know. And he says, no, you're doing the quiz tonight. So within 1 hour, I was trying to eat my Chinese takeaway with the wife, and we're watching like fucking like Miss Rachel on Netflix for the wee one, you know, and I'm trying to think of Celtic questions, and it's really multitasking. I've proved myself, right or wrong, I don't know, but I've managed to do a quiz anyway. So also going to make a wee. Oh yeah, one other thing, Stephen. One of the quickfire questions that I asked Ross, which I'd like to get your answer on, is who was your football and childhood hero?
Oh, it's easy. Henrik Larsson. There's no one else. Henrik Larsson.
Okay. I was looking for a better answer.
What?
Okay.
What?
No, I mean, an original answer. That's not judgmental. I just mean,
Aye, that's cliche.
yeah.
Right,
Not
okay.
Guile cliche.
Right,
Not Guile
okay.
cliche, just cliche.
Right. A close second to him would probably be Lubo.
Right, okay. Fair dues. Was it Zidane for you, Ross? What was your
I went Henri.
Henri? Pardon me, Henri. Right, okay. Right, we're going to do the Gavin. Do any of these questions give Stephen the opportunity to read the chat? Right, okay.
Bobby Peter.
John. So apparently you're related to Stephen. Would you say that Stephen is an honest man? We've established that he's not a bitter man. Is he an honest man? Is he?
I'm an honest man.
Not to look at the comment section.
I'll turn it off right now. Off.
Ross.
Oh, I can see that.
When you say you can see, can you see the comments? Or are you an honest man as well?
I can't see anything, but I'm an honest man. Aye.
Are you enjoying
In
yourself?
my opinion,
Are you enjoying yourself?
I'm enjoying myself.
Good stuff. Right, okay. So people in the comment section, we're going to ask 10 questions. Stephen and Ross are going to write down their answers, and at the end.
Oh,
of the
shit.
Shit, I've not got a pen or that. 2 minutes.
Amateur.
I thought it was quick fire.
Amateur.
I'm going to do mine on my phone because I don't have a pen or paper or anything. Right.
What's that phrase?
He's away, Gal. Come on, tell me what the crack is. What's the crack?
No much, mate. No much, man. Any plans for the weekend?
I mean the quiz, mate. Not what's the crack. Tell me the answers. Come on, let's go. I actually do have the comments off right enough, to be fair. So I'm an honest man. People can't say that. I don't know why people think I cheated. See that Bobby Pett answer in the question of sport? That was fantastic. Biblical, as Anthony would say.
I was terrible at that whole round. Terrible at that, man.
What is he doing?
Lockdown quizzes were a challenge for me, I'll tell you.
Here, our team won. I think that's testament to how we functioned.
Yeah.
You get your paper yet, Ross? Wow. Oh Jesus! There's the curves going up in the glass. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Did you say that John is your cousin?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's he saying?
He says, I'm gonna do mine on my phone. Google. Stephen's got quick Google fingers.
I'm not. I actually have a chat opened, and I'm just going to write it down one by one. So shove it up, you John.
I'm a notepad and pen. I had to lift the desk up because everything's inside where everyone's sitting, like my pad and all that. Anyway.
Awesome.
We're ready.
Look, it's just 10 questions, man. I'm sorry for the pure protracted drum roll for this one. Right, so you're going to just write down your answer. At the end of the 10 questions, we'll go back and we'll hear. By the way, in the lead up to this, I was wondering, will I be a dick and crank up the difficulty level? And I was thinking, like, I could really, really piss you guys off, and I won't be invited on for another podcast. So I don't know. I think it's kind of medium level. I think that's fair because I don't know your Celtic knowledge. Not that I'm an authority. I've said that before. But we'll start off. Question 1. Let me read my own handwriting. Okay. Can you name the clubs that Brendan Rodgers worked for as a first-team manager prior to joining Celtic in 2016?
Does it have to be in order?
No, it can be whatever order.
As a first-team manager, did you say?
Yeah, so just to kind of caveat that, he was the youth team manager for Chelsea, I think, back in the day.
Uh-huh.
That's not a club I'm looking for. So he was the first
Yep.
team manager, the senior manager for some.
And it's just up the Celtic at the first point.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Okay. You've got a point for every answer. Question 2. Andreas Thom represented which international team prior to the reunification of Germany, thanks to David Hasselhoff? That was a wee joke about David Hasselhoff. I never got any smirks there. I hope people in the comments.
Is he not the Baywatch guy?
Yeah. However, he was a political activist who single-handedly brought down the Berlin Wall. You should read up. You should read up on your history.
He did actually.
Steady on, Gav. Steady on, mate. I'm a good history guy. Give me anything.
Sorry, pal. Right, okay. Question 3. How many years? Okay, now you probably won't get it, so it's a point. If you don't get the correct year, it's who gets to the nearest number. How many years was Willie Maley the manager of Celtic?
I just farted.
Oh my god.
Right.
You're the worst guy in the planet.
Thank fuck he's in the North of Ireland. Right.
Hey.
Hey, flatulence is no joking matter. It can't travel that far, so we're safe. Question 4. Which English manager sold Oliver Tebley to Celtic and then bought him back in 2002 from Celtic?
Jesus Christ.
Sold and then bought him back.
Yeah, so...
fuck it. I'm just going to go this one. So far, I can tell in the comments, there's been 60 comments so far. I can't bring any up. Gavin, are people answering? What's the crack? Are people getting involved?
People are having a conversation about Pamela Anderson right now. I was a big
fan. Wow.
Okay.
Oh, I was a big fan. And the running.
Pamela Anderson was a great actress.
You're a dick.
That's the beauty of it. The beautiful people and the running. That's a Friends line.
Right, that Chandler and Joey about Yasmin Bleaton. Aye. Okay, question 5. Who was the first Celtic manager to never have played for Celtic?
Oh my fuck.
You're a confident boy, Ross?
Not really, no. But a boy nonetheless.
Well, if you wrote it in ink rather than pencil, then I'd imagine you're confident. Okay, question 6.
I'm not.
It's okay. 10 questions. Who did Celtic sign? Right, okay. This might be the hardest question. Who did Celtic sign for £100,000 in May 1983? Now, think about it, okay? 204 appearances, 126 goals. He stayed with us for 4 years and then he moved down south. So that's probably the hardest question. Who did Celtic sign for 100 grand in May 1983? Played for us 204 appearances, 126 goals, and then he left after 4 seasons. Moved down south.
I wasn't even staying on the bed sheets then.
There was a
I'm fucked. This quiz is gone. I don't know.
Right.
Tony will be like that. Answering it doing the smoky eyes because he kens it.
Do the voice. Do the voice. Do the voice.
Celtic.
Who's that an impression of? Who's that?
Anthony. Our Anthony, not the new Anthony.
Anthony Dunn.
Aye.
Yeah.
Anthony Dunn, aye. That'd have been easier to say that, aye.
Yeah, it would have been easier. Yeah. Fucked it.
Okay, so question 7. At the age of nearly 37, name the oldest player to debut for Celtic. You know this. You know this.
What?
You know it.
Yeah.
I think I've got it.
No, you don't. Why
I've
not?
got it. Yeah, shut up. I think I've got it.
Okay, question 8. Which player has won the most international caps while playing for Celtic? Which player has won the most international caps while playing for Celtic?
Mo Bangura. Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone now.
I think about 9 caps. Shambles.
Was there not
104.
Okay.
2 Banguras and we signed the wrong one?
That doesn't surprise me one bit. Also, 106, 7 comments now that are flooding in. I can't see them, but hopefully you're all getting involved with the quiz.
I can't see them. Liar.
How can I? Oh, fuck off, Ross.
Right.
I never seen it.
That was your catchphrase in the Question of Sport episode, wasn't it?
That was I.
I can't see this. Right, okay, question 9. Question 9. Which club did John Collins leave Celtic for? And he used the Bosman rule to do it. He broke my heart.
Yep, broke mine, take it.
Rafe Rovers.
You need to tell everybody now that you've wasted it.
See their goalkeeper. Do you see our goalkeeper scored a? Those Arbroath. Their goalkeeper scored an absolute worldly. Unbelievable.
See it.
Right, and final question, question 10. I guess this would be a 2-pointer. Which team did Tommy Burns manage prior to joining Celtic as manager? And also, who was his assistant manager?
Oh my God.
Ross is swiftly firing in, locking in the answer.
Oh, fuck, I forgot the assistant's name. I can see his face.
Ah, fuck it. I'm done. That's me, completo.
Oh my God.
You Anthony Dunn?
Can't I get his name, man? It's fucking.
Amply done. That's a good one, actually. That's well played.
What's his name?
Can I put the comments back on now? I'm finished.
What the hell is his name again? I can see him.
Just until Ross is.
Can I Google it? Because I can't his face. I'm only joking. I know his face, but I can't get his name. He's curly hair, know that. You can't
just write down
that
face.
Curly hair. He knows. He knows. I know. Huh?
Mick Hucknall.
Aye, Mick Hucknall. Oh my God.
Matthew McConaughey.
His name escapes me right now, but I might write it down by the time we've got the answers.
No. No. If you're done, you're done. No writing more stuff down.
Fuck off.
The phone's not here. Oh, Stephen, as Ross is about to lock in his final answer, what's your favourite movie? Non-football related question.
Oh my God.
I do judge people on this. I'm sorry, I do.
Well, I had one that was nailed down for a number of years. It's chopped and changed now, but I still go with it just because it was my number one for so long, and it's The Shawshank Redemption.
I knew you were going to say that. Everybody fucking says that. Remember that Lemmy sketch where Lemmy was saying, like, just pretend to people that you've never heard of Shawshank Redemption.
I've got his name.
Mine would be, look, I'm shite with movies, and what I've watched, I like Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, it's an unbelievable movie.
Do
you like it? Are you taking the piss?
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable film.
Difficult to go wrong with Tarantino. Difficult to go wrong with him.
It's such a good film. And the boy,
Didn't see it.
he's in Django Unchained. He is unbelievable in it. Can't mind his name.
Oh. Yo, your wires across your camera, Ross.
Just excited. Sorry.
Right, okay.
I've got the comments back on. I've not changed anything. I'm just looking at them.
You can bring up the comments, okay? Just looking for honesty here. So, question 1. Can you name the clubs that Brendan Rodgers worked for as first-team manager prior to joining Celtic? Ross, how many have you got?
I think I've got, well, I think there's 4 answers.
Okay, and what is your 4 answers?
Watford, Reading, Swansea and Liverpool.
Stephen, what do you have?
I have Watford, Reading, Swansea and Liverpool.
Okay, impressive. Yeah, 4 apiece. 4 apiece. Number 2, Andreas Thom represented which international team prior to the reunification of Germany? Ross.
I went East Germany.
That's 2 for us. What? I went West Germany. Is there West Germany?
It was the Eastern mob.
Okay.
And that's, by the way, see if I could interview one former Celtic player, I would want to interview Andreas Thom, because for me, I find that fascinating. Whenever his team in East Germany, they travelled abroad for like European games, they would do it with their handlers, like the kind of the security, and I think it was called the Stasi police. I find that fascinating. Just before the fall of the Soviet Union, whenever the Berlin Wall collapsed, I would love to hear from Andreas Thom about that. But East Germany.
Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen on this podcast.
We'll get it done.
I'll reach out to him.
I would love it.
By the way, that would be a good interview.
In fact, you know what's really fascinating? One of the people that Andreas Thom played with in that same team, they defected. One time they were playing a European game abroad, and he managed to escape his handlers in the airport, and he managed to seek asylum in a European country. And I just find that really interesting. So moving on to question 3. How many years was Willie Maley in charge of Celtic? Willie Maley was in charge of Celtic from 1897 until 1940. That is 43 years. So who got closest to that answer?
I got 23.
I went 24.
Oh,
I genuinely did. I
genuinely
did.
Didn't you lamb wee bastard?
Look.
Oh, he did too.
Wow, that's unbelievable. It was a year between us.
So is that Ross? You would now have 4, 5, 6. You've got 6, and Stephen, you've got 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's plenty of time to claw it back. Okay, question 4. Which English manager sold Oliver Tedley to Celtic and then back? Ross, I think you wrote down Neil Warnock. Is that correct?
Aye, that's right, aye.
Stephen, what do you have?
Steve Bruce.
Boom, Steve Bruce.
What?
Well done, Stephen.
No, genuinely. You're not taking the piss?
No,
wow. Okay.
By the way, that's a brilliant answer. I had no clue. I was between Warnock and Dave Jones.
Steve Bruce, he was a manager of Sheffield United when he pulled off that master stroke of getting rid of Oliver Tedley. But whenever he was in charge of Birmingham, I don't know, shit went bad and we had to bring him back. Okay, question 5. Who was the first Celtic manager to never have played for Celtic? Stephen, you looked as if that one shook you. What was your answer to that?
Wim Janssen.
And he was a manager who never played for Celtic, of course. But Ross, what have you got?
I went Jock Stein.
Jockstein used to be the captain of Celtic, so no.
Wow.
Liam Brady, 1991.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, by the way, I'm not just saying this, but I was between Jock Stein and Liam Brady. But there you go, eh? Jock Stein was the captain. What an idiot.
At least mine didn't fucking play for the
Tony will
club.
be rolling about in his bed.
Do his voice again.
No.
By the way, congratulations to Paul McFarlane. He said 43 years for Willie Maley. Fantastic for that. Moving on to question 6. Who did Celtic sign for 100 grand in May 1983? 204 appearances, 126 goals, and he left after 4 seasons. Now, if I think I'm right, I think he went into Man U. I saw a lot of right answers in the comments. What have you got?
I went for Frank McAvenny.
So did I.
Okay, Brian McClare.
Fuck off, bastard.
Interestingly enough, you might hear this. I was actually tempted to throw this one in. Frank McAvenny played for both Celtic, West Ham, and St Mirren twice for each club. That's a future trivia for you.
You knew we were going to guess Frank McAvenny, didn't you?
You fucking did. He did, didn't he?
He did.
I didn't know the level of expertise I was dealing with tonight. Yes, I'm doing very well. I think Ross, you're on 6.
Stephen's on 5.
Stephen, you're on 5. Okay. Okay. Question 7. At the age of nearly 37, name the oldest player to debut for Celtic and also feature in Homes Under the Hammer.
Dion Dublin.
And was that your original answer before I threw in the Homes Under the Hammer?
By the way, I was going to say, I didn't hear you saying Homes Under the Hammer the first time. I just went with Dion Dublin.
Okay, so Ross, you're now on 7. Stephen, you're now on 6. And Stephen, I think you've got the next couple of answers correct as well. So question 8, which player has won the most international caps while playing for Celtic? Ross, what have you got?
I went Larson.
Stephen, what do you have?
Pat Bonner.
Stephen is correct. Pat Bonner.
Well done,
I think the correct answer is Pat Bonner won a shitload of caps. So we're now, or even, pardon me for the pun, even Stevens.
Oh, fuck.
I've won it in the last one, I know of.
Yeah.
Anyway, run with
it.
Question 9, which club did John Collins leave Celtic for? And he used the Bosman rule. Ross, what have you got?
Monaco.
And Stephen, you had the
Monaco.
Yeah. Okay, we're on 8. And the final question of the night. Which team did Tommy... This is a 2-pointer, so this is a big one. Which team did Tommy Burns manage prior to Celtic, and who was his assistant manager? Stephen, what is your answer?
I went for Kilmarnock and his assistant, Eric Black.
Eric Black. Okay. Okay, well, that would be 1 point. Ross, what have you got?
I went with Kilmarnock and Billy Stark.
Oh! You deliberated in that so much, so you got Billy Stark at the very end, yeah? That cult.
Funny that, isn't it? Funny.
Oh no, you seen me? I did not left my phone once.
Here, one of them, Willie, Anthony, Franny could have texted you on the sly. Do not lie.
Oh come on, man! They don't even like me.
That was brilliant. I'm glad it was on a knife edge right until the end.
Wow, that was a really good quiz.
That was good. I enjoyed that. Aye. Well done, guys. 10-9 in the end, and well done to everybody in the comments who got it right. Some people wrong, some people right. Aye. I think
you got some good shit by Corby. Ross is cheating.
Ross is cheating.
Stephen, I've really enjoyed tonight. I'm not wrapping up right now. I think I'll kind of hand it over to you, but we've been through a lot. We've got January coming up, so why don't you explain to the viewers what's in store from our podcast for this January no man land?
Well, as you said, it's the winter break coming up, no man's land. So as a podcast until the end of the winter break with Celtic are back against Bucky Thistle, we plan to do still 2 podcasts a week, but with a difference. 1 podcast a week will be a spin-off. So We're bringing back the spin-off series like the Worst Kits, the Nopes 11, the Popes 11, things like that. A wee bit of fun to get involved with. Much like this Friday night, we've had a couple of beers and had a chat. And the other podcast will be focused obviously on transfer rumours and the latest Celtic news. So that will take us through the winter break, and then after the winter break with some exciting new things to announce. But we'll get to that when the winter break is over.
Okay. We're not amalgamating with another podcast at the end of the winter break, no surprises like that, no.
No. The Jungle Gems are on board. No one else is coming on. Jed's on. We're all looking forward to a new year.
Awesome. Ask Gavin, what did liquidation feel like? That's way over my head.
Aye. that went over my head more than the fucking cow thing earlier.
The cow thing? Yeah.
I'm not even going to explain that.
No, don't. Not live on air.
Some things are best left a mystery.
Yep.
Anyway, right, okay, so what's the day today? It's Friday. So we're back on Monday then, Stephen, aye?
Back on Monday. We're back on Monday at 8:30. It might be a spin-off on Monday and a normal podcast on Friday. So it's something to look forward to get involved with. And we're still going to stick to the 2 podcasts a week. And as I said before, look, Happy New Year to everybody who's joined in. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope it all goes well for people who's watching and everyone else and their families and friends and everyone connected with people. And look, we're looking forward to a new year at the Endless Celts Podcast. Plenty of new changes coming. The Jungle Gems, Jed Thomas, and plenty of things are coming in the future. So we're looking forward to it. And I think, to be fair, Gav, is that you all wrapped up?
Oh, yeah, I was going to try and do that. Do you remember the Jerry Springer's episodes back in the 90s when at the end of it, after all the fighting and throwing of the chairs, he would then summarise by saying, I've learned something today. I don't know. I don't think I've learned anything today, but I've enjoyed it. So I don't really have an outro as such. So you can take it away from here, Stephen. But yes, as far as I'm concerned, my work is done, yes.
And Ross, yourself, have you enjoyed it?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Honestly, it's been absolutely brilliant. It's 2.5 hours, probably more. But Gavin, I never doubted you. But for your first stint hosting on the Endless Celts podcast, it has absolutely been outstanding. Honestly, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. You've been superb, mate. And I've listened, not only the chat about Celtic, but the wee sort of side shows, the getting to know us with the quick fire and then the quiz at the end. It's been superb, and I've got a lot to live up to now, and I'm going to try my best.
Yes.
Thank you. That's really kind. No, I genuinely appreciate that. One thing I would say is, since joining the podcast, with it blowing smoke up your arses, you have been extremely welcoming, very, very friendly. You get great banter amongst yourselves, and we're just happy to be a part of that. And that's the other thing. We already said that whenever we kind of knew that the Jungle Gyms was kind of petering out, it was that enthusiasm that you need to really, whenever people are watching it, if you don't see the enthusiasm on a podcast, then that's very, very visible. The viewers can see that. And I think that we've kind of regained that by mixing with a bigger crowd, getting to know new people. We're really enjoying it. So far, it's been brilliant. So thank you for everything now.
And also as well, a big happy birthday to Joseph Agnew, who turned 67 today. So thanks for watching and thanks for taking part in everything. And until Monday, again, we'll be back at 8:30, probably with a spin-off. That will be announced during the weekend. To everybody who watched, everyone who took part, and everyone who's going to catch up, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.